Yeah, let me just get this one right. I was just looking for this link. So hang on. So that's the one you've just sent out, right? So
Yeah, I just sent it to you again.
yeah, that's cool. So I'm just going to send that to the address the other address.
If you can't CC me on it, so I
Yeah, I'll
have
do.
his
Yeah, I will.
address too.
Yeah, hang on,
Cause yeah, what kind of fuckery is going on?
V8. Hang on, where? Just remind me, or hang on, no, it's on here. Don't worry, it's on here.
VHVII
Yeah,
Press.
there you
Oh,
are. There you are.
looks like Johnny's here.
Oh, he
He's
is. Oh,
here.
fantastic. Oh, fantastic.
All right, cool.
Hey, hey
Hello,
John. Hey,
hello.
John.
Can
Haven't
we
had
hear you,
that. Have you
Johnny?
had that happen before?
Yeah, it happens.
Checked us. Yeah, yeah. So you
All
were
right,
saying,
check.
I've got you.
Let's go live because we've got the audience waiting for us
Go ahead.
now.
Go.
So let's go live. I'm gonna give you guys the heads up here. Do you need to share screen at all, Giovanni? Do you have anything you want to share with the audience? No. Okay.
Yeah,
So
maybe. Sure.
all right, click the share screen button, and I'll give you permission to share screen.
Do you need to share right now, Johnny, or just later on,
No,
maybe?
just maybe eventually.
Yeah,
Okay,
have the
cool.
ability. Yeah, you want to see, but
Yeah, yeah. This way, at least you have it, and if you get inspired to share anything, you can do so. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys the 5-second countdown of when we're going live. I just do my introduction, then I introduce both of you, and then we just speak as long as you guys wish to speak. Uncensored, unfiltered,
Sounds
just
awesome.
say whatever you want. And you guys are welcome to call me out too, by the way. Like if you guys have evidence against me that I'm a
I
Mossad
don't. You're an
agent or a
artist. What am I
Jew,
gonna? You're an artist. What am I gonna complain about?
I mean, it's like they accuse me of being a tranny, a pedophile. I'm on that pedophile list that he's got. I think you're on it too, by the way.
Well,
I'm pretty
anybody
sure.
that pisses Nemos off is now a Jewish pedophile. So I'm honored to be on Nemos's Jewish pedophile list.
Yeah. It's like what?
I'm working my way onto it.
Meanwhile, he's the guy that was
Yeah.
arrested
Yeah.
with drug paraphernalia
And then-
within a child daycare and $1 million bond. But I'm the pedophile, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And admitted that he's a pedophile
Wow.
because during that X space, he says you're more of a pedophile than I am.
Yeah.
It's like who says that?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
literally, who says that?
Right.
All right, we're going live in 5 seconds, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live. Hi, this is the Maverick artist Victor Hugo reporting modern art gonzo journalism for the modern art music movement. It is Friday, May 15, 2026, reporting from the former Soviet Union, Republic of Georgia, near the border with Russia, Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. A camel ride away from Kazakhstan, the Ukraine, Israel, Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, and the Gaza Strip. My job is not to be politically correct. It is to witness, observe, analyze, and document the beautiful chaos that surrounds us all, so that future generations can understand how we got to this moment in time where I am blessed to be reunited with Mr. Luke from England, the UK, Great Britain, whatever you want to call it, and Giovanni, Johnny Cirucci on this show. And before we begin, I just want to thank Giovanni for having the strength of character to not only show up for the show, but also he's not a coward. He puts his money where his mouth is. And right now we're dealing in an arena where people are slinging accusations at each other. And it's like the World Wrestling Federation. I thought this was supposed to be a so-called truth teller community, but it's filled with compulsive liars and backstabbers. And so I don't always agree with everything that my guests say, but I appreciate the fact that Giovanni Cirucci and Mr. Luke have at least the strength to come on the show and speak their mind freely. So I want to thank them before that because, yeah, I've invited Cab Malone of God City Live and recently Jeffrey Schlager or something. I don't even remember his name. But he's somebody who debated Dustin Nemos. And also, who else? Oh, Sir Escanar. So all these people, they don't have the guts that Giovanni Cirucci does. And I think they're all on Dustin Nemos's pedophile list. So I don't know what's going on. Really, it's starting to seem to me like this is theater, that we're just watching a bunch of people making pretend that they're angry at each other. But maybe they're just grifting. I don't know. I don't get that sense from Giovanni. And we ironed out our differences before this show, because fairly enough, he doesn't know who I am or what I'm about. People have told him that I'm a quadruple CIA double Mossad agent and that I'm this, that, and the other thing. So I get it. But he asked me, and we had the discussion, and we're moving forward. So, and again, I invite anybody who has any evidence to prove that I am a quadruple CIA double Mossad agent, a tranny, a pedophile, gay, whatever, email me at vhvipress@msn.com and bring receipts, because this is nonsense already. You know, what is this? So with that long introduction, welcome both Giovanni and Mr. Luke. Whichever which to start first, go for it, and let's
Victor. Now, I want to tell you that Luke is someone that is awake and has been our connector for all this, and I credit you, Victor, for having the discernment in bringing Luke in, because from our perspective, he's just a fan, but it turns out that he's actually a pretty knowledgeable guy, and was able to. I had a long private conversation with him. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and as I told you offline, I don't have an issue. You just happen to be a guy that is out there. You're a what do you say? The maverick artist, gonzo journalist, right? Isn't that your taglines? I don't have an issue with that. And as a matter of fact, as I said offline, there are a lot of people in the alternative media community that pretend to be truth-seeking journalists, and they're not. They're actually variety show hosts. You can legitimately call yourself a variety show. You're out there just as an artist to gather information, hear people out. You can legitimately bring on anybody that you want, as opposed to a lot of people out there that are just looking for clickbait. They're really not investigative journalists. I have a very narrow focus. My perspective is, having been some 20, 25 years in the military, had a not very good time in the military. It was by God's design. I'm also born again Christian. I was born and raised Roman Catholic and became a born again Christian out of my second try at college. And it really helped to open up my mind, having a miserable time in the military, being born and raised Roman Catholic and conservatard, right-minded, right-wing values. And I say conservatard meaning right-minded values but not awake. And through my travels, I ended up waking up. I still have right-minded values, but now I'm awake. I know better. And that has helped me to become who I am today. I had no intention whatsoever to make this basically a profession. It doesn't pay. There's no money in truth. And I've had to essentially swap roles with my wife, whereas when I was in the military, I was able to let her do whatever she wanted. And now, God love her, I'm blessed to have her as a partner. She is now holding down the fort and paying the majority of our bills, because for me, investigative journalism, there's no money in it. There's no money in it, and I have tried to do other things, and the good Lord's got a sense of humor. So I walked that path of just doing it on the side, blogging on the side, finding answers on the side. I was still in the military when they had that ridiculous joke Bin Laden raid. I tell the story all the time. I had a pretty cool, down-to-earth lieutenant colonel was my boss. I was at division headquarters was my job. What the hell was I doing? I don't even remember what the hell I was doing as a billet. He was my boss, and he called me in after the raid, and he said, "Man, come on, sit down." I said, "What do you got, sir?" He said, "You know, the official story in relation to the Bin Laden raid, I've got some contacts in the special operations community, and it's not what they're saying it was." I said, "You know, sir, I kind of figured that intuitively. The idea that the very name the very face, the very reason for the global war on terror. And the mission was the brave commandos of SEAL Team 6 to go in, shoot him on sight, and dump him in the ocean. Meanwhile, they waterboarded Khalid Sheikh Mohammed like 800 times to get every scrap of information out of him, right? I mean, how stupid are we? How stupid are we? And it was obvious in 2011 that they were doing this to build Barack Obama's cred. Barack Obama, a guy that shot up out of nowhere and admitted that he had been to Pakistan during the Cold War, which you really shouldn't have been able to do. And then he admitted that, hey, it's easy. You just go into the CIA station and check in there. And I think this was a debate that he had with McCain. What a joke McCain was. I can tell you as a quick aside, McCain is a CIA asset. It was a CIA puppet. McCain was alive during his funeral. He probably is dead now, but they staged his funeral as an attaboy early so that he could go in and see everybody loving on his not open casket. Okay, that's just conjecture, but from what my research of what I've seen, absolute CIA puppet. What I have seen, what I believe is what happened. McCain had a father who was an admiral, and so he was a silver spoon on the Forrestal. How weird is this? His aircraft had a munition that went off on the Forrestal, caused a huge explosion, and I can't remember the casualty count. I don't think he was actually in the cockpit at the time. That's just high weirdness. But what I understand is that he wasn't the brave superhero that everybody says he is when he was captured and put in the Hanoi Hilton. My understanding is he folded like a cheap lawn chair. And the CIA knew that and held that over him his entire life. He came back. He jettisoned his wonderful wife. She stood by him. She was in a car accident while he was in the Hanoi Hilton. A brutal car accident. Never told him. It shortened one of her legs. She kept that to herself. She kept that burden to herself. And the piece of shit he was, when as soon as he came back, he divorced her and married that bimbo, beer bimbo, so that he can marry into money and power. Piece of crap that he was. So my understanding is that he folded like a cheap lawn chair, and that's why he played a role as opposite Obama, right? Him and that other doofus, Palin, right? Born and raised Catholic, of course, all playing a role because it was written, scripted for CIA puppet, CIA asset Barack Obama to skyrocket into the Senate and into the Father Andrew White House. So I'm walking my path, Vic and Luke. I'm walking my path to try and find my way and get answers. So I was right-minded, and for me growing up, it was obvious as a conservatard, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, I have a love for right-minded people, but if you think you can vote them out, then you're not awake. Okay? It is institutional corruption world over. World over. You're not voting anybody out. If they're in a spotlight, if they're on the TV, it's scripted that way. Okay? So that's what I mean when I say conservatard. A conservatard, commitard, libertard, these are people that have values, but they're not awake. They're maybe even purple pills. You know, I've seen the meme. It's pretty funny of Fishburne, right? With both hands out, and he's like, "Did you just take both pills? What the hell's wrong with you?" It's so true. There are people out there that kind of want the truth, but they're afraid of the whole truth. So, anyway, this has been my walk, and it was obvious to me growing up, being on the right, that there is an institutional bias towards the hard left. There is an institutional bias towards the hard left. It was obvious to me, and it's to this day, all mainstream media, all big money, all big entertainment, hard left, hard left, hard left, hard left. So that when they put out shills of the phony right, like Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Irish Catholic Bill O'Reilly, Irish Catholic Sean Hannity, Michael Savage, Knight of Malta, Rupert Murdoch's Fox News. These are all shills to keep the right anesthetized and distracted, because they are the target that the machine wants to keep distracted. The machine, Vic and Luke, governs at its best from the hard left. What does it mean to be left versus right? So at a very basic level, to be right-minded, to have right-wing values, is to be living for something bigger than you. It's to live for your wife, live for your kids, live for your faith, live for things bigger than you. As it says in the Bible, my Christian perspective, by the sweat of your brow shall you eat bread, okay? Always putting responsibility and sacrifice and self-control first. That makes you very dangerous. What the machine loves is the left-wing perspective of, if it feels good, do it. If it feels good, do it. If you have a responsibility, boot it. If you have something that's important, if you know there's a wrong to be righted, ask somebody else to do it for you. Give your responsibility to big sister, big brother government. And then and that's why tyranny works at its best from the left. That's why when you have, let's say, American government, you have the Democrat Party, which is hardcore, rabid left, and they are absolutely honest and open. What you see is what you get. Versus the Republican Party, which is pretend right-wing and never really gets anything accomplished. They're a bunch of frauds. They're smoke and mirrors. They never have any substance. The left, the Democrats, led by Roman Catholics like Nancy Pelosi, institutional Catholics like Pelosi, Biden, a huge long, the Kumos in New York, a huge long list of institutional far-left Catholics that are pro-abortion, pro-government recognition of homosexual marriage, and they're all in great standing with their church because their church is secretly all about them. As a quick aside, if the Catholic Church, it's a lie. The idea of the Catholic Church is pro-life. What does that even mean? The idea of the Catholic Church is pro-life. Well, they are for, supposedly, the unborn, and they're also for never utilizing capital punishment. So the most innocent of life is equal to the most predatory of life in the weird, convoluted Jesuit theology doctrine of the Catholic Church. That's by design. And the fact is that the Catholic Church could destroy abortion in like that. The snap of Josh Brolin's fingers, the snap of Thanos' fingers could destroy abortion anywhere it wanted to. And that's never the case. It's never the case. In fact, my research has shown, and I'll share this in a minute, how did you get to where you're at? My research has shown that the Catholic Church, certainly the leadership, and I want to offend Catholics. I know there's got to be a ton of them, especially as we go across the pond and in Victor's audience, I'm sure. But the institution, the leadership in the Catholic Church is hard left and a bunch of liars. They are not for the unborn. They just look at the issue of clerical rape of children, priest rape of children. Just look at that alone. Okay, it is absolutely endemic. It is endemic. And let me tell you that what little you are allowed to see is in fact allowed to get out. Here's proof of this in that the only ones who ever pop up as having raped little boys are elderly priests, if they're still alive. There is a pattern. And I covered this in my third book, Eaters of Children. There is a pattern. The pattern is these predators get a full lifetime. As a great example, better example, in Jimmy Savile, right? The happy-go-lucky DJ over in Britain. No one knew. First of all, nobody knows that he's was a hyper-devout Roman Catholic. Nobody knows that. Like daily mass Roman Catholic. He was dead for 11 years. And it finally started to trickle to the surface that he was a voracious demonic child predator. And then later, it's kind of sneaking out a little bit that he was thoroughly enabled by both the Catholic Church and the British government. That's even more of a secret. The pattern is these predatory animals get a full life of raping kids. And that's with everybody involved. That's the cops, that's the government, that's the Catholic hierarchy. They're all involved. And then maybe, to give themselves plausible deniability, they'll let a little bit of truth pop up to the surface when it's long past the opportunity to stop the crime and bring the rapist, the boy raper, the pederast, to justice. That's the pattern. And oh, by the way, it's only a rank and file priest. Bishops and cardinals and popes, they never rape little boys. They never sodomize. It's only rank and file priests. Clearly, that's not the case. Clearly, that can't possibly be the case. There has to have been someone. Well, there was George Pell. Look at George Pell. He's like the third most powerful cardinal in the Vatican. Oh, there was one accusation against George Pell, and right before he went to trial, the witness against him died. I hate when that happens. I think he fell on a knife 14 times. I hate something to that effect. I hate when that
accidentally
happens.
cut his head off shaving. I think.
right. That's a great Blackadder joke. Yeah. I hate when that happens. I absolutely hate when that happens. So, here's my journey. Luke, did you want to add something else?
No, I mean, you're cool. You finish up, man. And
I just want to give my journey, and I don't want to monopolize the time. I'm very grateful to both of you for having me back. My journey was to come to the realization that as I'm running from CIANN and PMSNBC and all the alphabet soup joke medias that were hard left, and I'm trying to find someplace that isn't hard left to get my information from, and I'm running to people like Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin and Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly, it eventually became pretty obvious that they were just as controlled in their own way. They were just as controlled, particularly with the administration of Barack Obama. The idea how this guy could have popped up out of nowhere without come on, where did this guy come from? Oh, well, it turns out if you dig deep enough, you find out that he was trained in community organizing by a couple of ex-Jesuits. Oh, not only ex-Jesuits, but their community organizing operation was named after a Jew, Rabbi Gamaliel. The Gamaliel Foundation. No, wait a minute. I thought the Jews run everything. Why do we have a couple of Jesuits? Oh, I'm sorry, ex-Jesuits. Why do we have a couple of Jesuits pretending, or at least using the name of a famous Jewish rabbi for their muckraking, their community organizing operation that trained Barack Obama to be what he was, his greatest, his reason for existence. He was a great community organizer, right? So there's just a little bit of an insight. As I'm trying to find my answers on my own, I drifted away from the so-called alternative conservatards. Turns out that Rush Limbaugh was probably a compromised homosexual, and that's why that what they utilize sexual blackmail, especially on the right, They utilize sexual blackmail. They love to exploit homosexuals, guys with things to hide, so that they are definitely on the team. They will definitely do whatever they're told. When comes time for them to fold like a cheap lawn chair, they say, in the seventh round, you're going to drop to the canvas. He's not even going to touch you, and you're going to faint. Okay, all right, whatever you say. Otherwise, we're going to out you. That's the mechanism they like to use. So I walked away from those guys, especially when I'm trying to find answers about who the heck Barack Obama was and how it is that he popped up out of nowhere, and now he's American senator, and then right after that he's president of the United States, and he came out of nowhere. Come on, give me some, and they weren't by design. They were gatekeeping for him as surely as the rest of the mainstream media was. So I walked away from the conservatards, and I spent about 2.5 days listening to Alex Jones, and it became very obvious to me that Alex Jones was also playing a role. That his role was to take in people like me, people who are doubting. They're finally people who are saying, okay, the mainstream narrative is so ridiculous, is so outrageous, I've got to go somewhere else. So where do I go? I go to the funnel, and the funnel says Alex Jones. If you doubt the mainstream narrative, Alex Jones is your guy. Well, I go to Alex Jones, and it becomes quickly apparent that Alex is a caricature. Alex is playing a role. Alex is being a buffoon on purpose. He's the embodiment of cynical mistrust of the official narrative. And as that embodiment, he makes everybody laugh at him and therefore at me. So you're laughing at Alex Jones, it means you're laughing at me. By the way, this is what infuriates me about these Jew-baiting clowns, because they're playing roles. They're all COINTELPRO. So in other words, to question the official narrative is to be a Dustin Nemos, is to be a Handsome Truth, is to be a Stu Peters. And obviously, if you're them, then you think the Jews run it all, to the point where Handsome Truth, Minadio, is giving Nazi salutes. He's bringing him on television. He's the reason why there's school shootings in Tennessee, and he's laughing at that. You've got Dustin Krieger, Dustin Nemos, whose real name is Dustin Krieger, who's got a rap sheet as long as my arm. And he's out there saying that all Jews are Nephilim, and the Bible tells you that God wants to wipe the Nephilim out, man, woman, and child. And if a Jew is a Nephilim and God wants you to wipe him out, well, what do you think we should do next? And he claims to be a pastor and a Christian, and this is why I went off on this guy, okay? So this is, listen to me. All of this is a counterintelligence operation to discredit and dissuade and distract you, the truth seeker. It is all a counterintelligence operation. I promise you. I've got it. You don't not just take my word for it. I will show you evidence. I've got some stuff to share with you in relation to this. The fact that you look at a guy like Minadio or Stu Peters, look at their past, and I ran this past in an investigation that I did. I mean, these guys, both of them, how weird is this? Both of these clowns were rap artists before they became. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. You look at me, and you can see the progression in my books. When I was doing this, and I'm finding my answers, I'm looking, and I keep seeing this nebulous crap, this deep state and Illuminati and globalists. And from the military perspective, I'm like, that doesn't tell me anything. That doesn't tell me a damn thing. You're doing that on purpose. You're giving me this nebulous crap so that I really can't put my finger and say who is really on it. So I'm looking, Illuminati, and finally a name pops up. Johann Adam Weishaupt. And I'm like, okay, all right, now we have a name. Now let's dig. And I dig, and now I have a descriptor that comes up, Jesuit. Wait a minute. Why is it that has never come up before? What is this Jesuit? Look that up. Turns out, the Catholic Church has had a massive operation of manipulation, control, and tyranny, pretending to be Christian, but in fact enslaving Christians for 1,000 years. So from a proper Christian perspective, what is Christianity? Is Christianity a religion? No. Is Christianity a church? No. Is Christianity a hierarchy of priests and bishops and cardinals and popes? No. No. The essence of Christianity is absolutely thoroughly decentralized. The believer loves Jesus and uses the Bible as their roadmap. That's simple. Here's the problem with that, guys. That can't be exploited. That can't be manipulated. That can't be used to build power and empires. You need to control that. You need to convince the people that, no, you can't go to Jesus directly. No, you need to go to the priest. You need to confess your sins to the priest so that he can blackmail you with them or rape you with them. You need
vicar,
to go...
Which means vicarious, doesn't it? Vicar and vicarious, yeah.
Oh, the vicarious filii Dei. If you write vicarious filii Dei in Latin, Luke, turns out that the numerical value, the gematria value in vicarious filii Dei adds up to 666. What a coincidence is that? That's the office of the papacy, right? So the Catholic Church has weaponized Christianity for control, and truly all religion is weaponized. In that sense, the Jesuit-trained Jewish puppet Karl Marx was absolutely right that religion is the opiate of the people, but that's because he was a puppet. So not to get too far afield, but I'm trying to find my answers. And suddenly I'm like, why is nobody saying Jesuit? What is Jesuit? So the Catholic Church had controlled, dominated humanity. And if you wanted to be a Christian, you were a Catholic, right? So for 1,000 years, that's what it meant to be a Christian, is to be a Catholic. And if you weren't Catholic, the Catholic Church would hunt you down and kill you and torture you and call you a heretic and rewrite the history and suddenly say that you were believing a bunch of crazy things after you're dead and can't defend yourself. Okay? This is what they did to the Donatists, to the Valdenses, to the Albigenses. Wiped them out, hunted them down. How many people know that Innocent, the inversely named Innocent III, actually enacted what are the Crusades? The Crusades, right? Well, Crusades, that's where Christians went to the Holy Land and killed Muslims and Jews, right? No. Crusades are weapons of the Catholic Church. All the more concerning when you've got a guy like Billy Graham calling his gatherings crusades. That's a little tell. That's a little red flag there. Does anybody know that the Pope Innocent III, the same guy that caused the Magna Carta in England, that's a whole nother story, Innocent III enacted a crusade of Roman Catholic knights into Europe to slaughter Christians? No, you've never heard of that before? Oh, what a surprise. That's because the Jews erased that out of the history books, right? So anyway, I'm finding this stuff on my own, okay? I'm finding this on my own, and I'm being shocked at every step. Why is this hidden? How come this Illuminati, Weishaupt, Jesuits? So where did the Jesuits come from? Who are the Jesuits? So the Catholic Church owned Christianity and abused it for 1,000 years with things like purgatory, with things like the confessional, with things like worship of Mary, worship of angels, worship of saints, things that are entirely unbiblical. If you read the Bible for yourself, you would say, that's a lie. That's a lie. And you're not even Christian. You're telling me to go away from Jesus and go to these other people first. Go to the priest, go to Mary, go to the bishop, go to the Pope. Pay the Pope an indulgence, right? And this is the essence of Martin Luther breaking away from the Catholic Church in 1517 when he had that Johann Tetzel, that interaction with the Dominicans. Before the Jesuits, there were the Dominicans. And so all you have to do to understand about the Catholic Church is just look at some of the bios of who these popes actually were. Some of the most disgusting, depraved, evil individuals ever. And they're about as a vicar of Christ as Barack Obama is a better vicar of Christ than some of these popes, okay? Just pick one off the top of my head. Well, we can save Innocent III for later. How about Alexander VI? Oh, by the way, the reason why they do that is to tap into the divine right of kings foolishness. He's not Rodrigo de Borgia of the black nobility. He's Alexander VI. And oh, by the way, so if you go in all over alt media, who runs the world from behind the scenes, type it into Google. Google's a verb, right? Google changed its birthday in 2006 to coincide with the 27th of December. Is that the birthday of the Jews? Is it the birthday of Israel? No, it's the birthday of the Jesuits. Oh, but the Jews run it all. Okay? So you look in and ask Google, who runs it all behind the scenes? It's the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, what did they do? They manage the Vatican treasury. They're managed just like Blackstone. Right? Larry Fink, what's his name? Blackstone. Oh, they rule the world. He's had his asset management company since 1988. Who was ruling the world before then? Okay? He manages. He doesn't control. He doesn't own the trillions. Guess who one of his biggest clients is? The Vatican Bank. Oh, no, it's Blackstone. It's Larry Fink. It's the Jews. Managers, middlemen. That's my point. I'm not saying it's not Jews. I'm saying the Jews you're looking at, if they're guilty, they're simply managers. They're managers, okay? And this is what I'm finding out on my own. And I'm finding Jesuit behind the scenes, the puppet masters. It's absolutely intuitive. If you own and rule the world, what's the first thing you want to? You own it all. You own the government. You own the money. You own the intelligence agencies. You own the internet. What's the first thing you want to do? Disappear. You want to disappear, right? Isn't that what we seem to have? The next thing you want to do is you want to cover your tracks. You want to grab a patsy, grab someone that it's easy to hate, and shove them into the spotlight and let them be obnoxious and tribal and annoying and have all kinds of foibles that you can poke fun at, and let them take the brunt of your anger as patsies. Not as innocent. I'm not saying that there's nothing to see there. I'm saying they're patsies. They're middlemen. The whole Epstein thing. No one's ever tried to traffic an almost adult teenage girl before Jeffrey Epstein, right? You can't see how managed that is. The mere fact that the idea of child trafficking is now a household word synonymous with one Jew, Jeffrey Epstein, who supposedly is dead now. And you don't see how you've been played. You've never heard of Marc Dutroux. You've never heard of the trafficking out of devout Roman Catholic Belgium, where he's on trial and he said, I'm just a puppet. I'm just a puppet. You've never heard of the so-called Franklin cover-up, where the Republicans, the phony Republicans, were blackmailed sodomizing boys, right? Where with Franklin cover-up, what is that? I don't understand. That's the Franklin Federal Credit Union, and the pimp there, Lawrence King, was just that, a pimp, a middleman. That's actually a distraction within a scandal. What's the real scandal? Turns out the boys that were being trafficked to Washington and to blackmail all the phony Republicans were coming not from the Franklin Federal Credit Union, but from the Roman Catholic Boys Town Orphanage. It should have been called the Boys Town cover-up, not the Franklin cover-up. Who was behind renaming it the Franklin cover-up? A CIA former monk by the name of John DeCamp. He was a CIA... in fact, during the Vietnam War, John DeCamp was the aide-de-camp of Bill Colby, the CIA station chief during the Vietnam War in Saigon, who ran operations like Phoenix. And John DeCamp was his aide-de-camp. Both of them devout Jews. Oh, no, they were hyper-devout Roman Catholics. Did I get that mixed up? I'm sorry. It really is the Jews, though. Okay? The CIA founded by a Roman Catholic Wall Street lawyer, Knight of Malta. Oh, no, he's really Jewish, right? Mild Bill Donovan. I'll give you Wild Bill Donovan. The FBI, the two most powerful criminal agencies in the world that are the inverse of what they do. The CIA and the FBI, created, founded, run by Jews? No. Not only was the CIA founded by a Roman Catholic Wall Street war profiteering Knight of Malta, so was the FBI. Charles Joseph Bonaparte, the great-grandnephew of Napoleon Bonaparte, a hyper-devout Roman Catholic, went to daily mass, right? Oh, it must be the Jews, though. So anyway, this is the stuff that I'm finding as I'm doing my own research, and it's all hidden. And this was the impetus of my first book, Illuminati Unmasked. Just to finish answering my own question, because I saw going down all these rabbit trails, it's all connected. Who were the Jesuits? So for 1,000 years, Christianity was truly the Dark Ages. It was the Dark Ages. Christians had no idea what their faith was. They had no idea what the Bible was, because the Roman Catholic Church kept the Bible in Latin and said only clerics, only priests were allowed to touch the Bible, read the Bible. If you were caught with the Bible, especially in the vulgar tongue, you were burned alive by the Inquisition. You were tortured to death. Your Bible was burned. You were burned. As a matter of fact, there's a massive volume, several books actually, a massive volume called John Fox's Book of Martyrs. And it all has to do with how the Jews tortured Christians. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It also has to do with how the Catholic Church tortured and murdered thousands upon thousands of Christians. The Catholic Church tortured and murdered thousands upon thousands of Christians, especially those who had Bibles. Why? Because they were the vulnerability of the Catholic control system. Because if you read the Bible, you suddenly know that things like purgatory and the confession and Mary worship and a whole host of other, the idea that Mary herself was born without sin, the idea that Mary ascended into heaven, the idea that Mary spent her entire life, even after the birth of Jesus as an eternal virgin, all of that is absolutely ludicrous and absolutely unbiblical. But if you have a Bible, you can see that. And so the Bible was kept under wraps for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years. Until the advent of the movable type printing press. Now you have the ability to print something faster than it can be burned. You have a problem. So this was the breakaway of Martin Luther. Why? Martin Luther was not the first guy to ask questions. Martin Luther was the first guy to ask questions and then have a bunch of Bibles sitting around him and say, that's what it says. How come you're saying something so radically different? Indulgences was the word I'm looking for. Indulgences. How great. So real quick, black nobility, finding my way back. Hey, Cirucci, come back. Okay, we're back up here. Come back over here. So, de Borgia, right? Black nobility. Everybody's heard of Rothschild. Everybody's heard of Rothschild. Nobody's heard of Borgia, de Medici, Aldo Brandini, Colonna, Orsini, Breakspear, Doria. Right? Nobody's heard of Doria. Nobody's heard of the Venetian black nobility. The Farneses. These are the real power players. These are the real power players. And they're invisible, like I said. They're absolutely invisible. But if you do just a little bit of digging, you see that they have controlled where? Through the Catholic Church. They were at their most powerful as bishops, cardinals, and popes. The Medici alone have like 3 popes. As a matter of fact, it was Leo number 10, Giovanni de Medici, who was the pope at the time of Luther's breakaway. And he was the reason for it. I want to go back to Borgia real quick. Excuse me. Rodrigo de Borgia, Alexander number 6, one of the most depraved human beings ever, no less the supposed vicar of Christ. Okay? So there's this idiocy that Catholic clerics, all Catholic clerics have to have a vow of celibacy. And they spend their entire lives celibate, right? Because they have to. And they don't have any. This is why this repeatedly comes up and is repeatedly shot down. What's in play underneath? What's in play underneath is the structure of Catholicism desperately needs its clergy to be miserable and to have a lifetime of sexual energy pent up with no proper way for its outlet. It's absolutely unnatural. These are individuals who are forced to funnel their sexual urges in criminal ways. That's exactly what they do, and it is the foundation of Catholicism. It's the foundation. You can't argue with me. Don't even try to argue with me. Here's what's worse. Is what you actually see bubbling to the surface, coming to the news every once in a while, is nothing compared to what's really going on. And that's intuitive. That just makes sense. The mere fact that you would have Catholic education institutions and orphanages. Pause. Who runs hospitals and schools and orphanages? Jews? Do the Jews run? I don't even heard of them. For any one Jewish hospital, Mount Sinai, for every one Jewish hospital, there are 1,000 Catholic hospitals. Okay? Have you ever heard of a Jewish education institution that catered to handicapped kids and raped them? No, but I tell you, there's a Catholic institution. There are multiple Catholic institutions. Demonic. Are you kidding me? So parents who are desperate, they have kids who are deaf or blind, who need special help, and they're Catholic, which means they're idiots. They're zombies, right? They trust the Catholic Church. They give their handicapped child to the Catholic Church for special care, and the child is raped in the care of the Catholic. So the child, especially if they're orphans, God forbid, especially if they're orphans, right? All they want or need is compassion, is love, is safety. And instead, they get preyed upon. They get tortured. They get raped. And sometimes they get murdered. That's demonic. Are we talking about the Jews? No, we're talking about the Catholic Church. Okay? We're talking about what nobody talks about. You go on alternative media, and it's Jews and Jews and Jews, and nobody... It's an absolute fact that there are institutions of special handicapped learning institutions where they rape the kids. They torture the kids and rape them. You can't get any more demonic than that. Pardon me for using Christian terminology. I don't know what else to describe it with. Okay? Pause there to just give you the worldview that nobody else touches. Nobody else touches. Nobody else out. Barely. There's a tiny handful of people like me, and a bunch of them are crackpots by design to discredit my point of view. Back to Rodrigo de Borgia and celibacy. I remember where I was. Hey, Cirucci, come back. Okay, I remember where I was. Rodrigo de Borgia. Yeah, celibate, right? He had like 4 or 5 well-known children. Everybody knew that he had children, right? The Pope Alexander VI. Oh, well, he took the name Alexander. Why? But Alexander was one of the most holy martyred saints of all of Catholicism. No, he was naming himself after Alexander of Macedon because he sported himself. He figured he was a good general like that. One of his many bastard children, Cesare, hope I'm saying that right, was in fact a general and then a cardinal and then back to a general again. And Cesare, they all had sex with each other. They all had sex with each other, especially the daughter and the sister. Rodrigo had sex with his own daughter, Lucrezia. Oh, Lucrezia the poisoner. Lucrezia the poisoner. She wasn't a poisoner. She was just the distraction. Okay? The real poison, the real experts of poison, the whole Borgia family. It was a Borgia thing. It is a Borgia thing. Okay? The experts in poison, as are the Jesuits. As were the Templars, the assassins. The Templars learned from the assassins. The Templars fought the assassins in the Holy Land, and then they got in bed with each other and shared secrets and passed it on down to the Jesuits. Rodrigo de Borgia, just a demonically perverse family. As a matter of fact, Cardinal Cesare Borgia, Cardinal Borgia, murdered his brother, Juan, because he was having too much sex with her sister. And he wanted his sister. He wanted Lucrezia for himself. Murdered Juan and threw his body in, I think, the Tiber. That's Catholicism, okay? That's the family of Alexander VI. That's the Borgia black nobility that nobody's heard of. Okay? And this is the stuff that I've written books on that I'm so frustrated that what is Cirucci? Cirucci doesn't know what he's talking about. It's Jews. It's all the Jews, right? The Jews run the hospitals. The Jews have confessionals. Completely unbiblical. And nowhere in the Bible does it say that, in fact, when Christ nailed religion to the cross. Christ is the only intercessor you need. As I said, the problem is you can't weaponize that. You can't enslave human beings with that. You have to have other human beings be there. Oh, you confess your sins to the priest. He'll keep that to himself. He'll absolve you by the power of Jesus. What blasphemy. What blasphemy. The essence of true Christianity is thoroughly decentralized. The believer loves Jesus, and their guidebook is the Bible. And if you have questions, you go to people that can answer the questions. You don't go to experts. You don't have a mini pilgrimage. Pilgrimages are entirely unbiblical, including the pilgrimages that we have today. This idea that to be a Christian, you do whatever you do, and then for an hour on Sunday morning, you have a mini pilgrimage to a holy place. You get all nice and dressed up. You check the box. You take Jesus out of his cubby hole, and you act all righteous and holy. And then after that hour is done, you stay here, you kneel here, you stand here, you make the cross, the upside down cross over yourself, and then you put him back in the cubby hole, and you go right back to your life again. That has nothing to do with Christianity. That has nothing to do with Christianity. And I promise you, if that's your routine, you're going to stand before Jesus Christ on your judgment. Now, here's a quick aside. For you, Krieger, you piece of shit, pardon my language. For you, Krieger, you piece of shit, you have the balls to say you're a Christian pastor and you say white Jesus hates Jews and you stand on the Bible and the words of Jesus Christ? This is what, oh, he's triggered because he lost. Yeah, that's why you ran like the little bitch, right? I'm triggered because I lost. I'm triggered because you're a Luciferian liar. You have the nerve to stand on the cross of Jesus Christ. You will be fully accountable. You will give an account to the King of the Jews. You will stand behind him. And if you go through that ritual, the mini pilgrimage, Christ will say to you, who are you again? Lord, we did these great things in your name. But who are you? I have no idea who you are. Okay? So let me pause and take a breath. I'm monopolizing your time, guys. I really apologize for that.
That's okay. You're very passionate. I just want to briefly interject and say we have a lot in common. We don't agree on everything, but I was born and raised Roman Catholic. I did the baptism, the communion, the confession, the confirmation, and I'm a recovering Catholic now because, like you, I went down the rabbit hole and I started finding out things that made me go, hmm. I will say I fortunately have never been sexually abused as a child in the Roman Catholic Church. I actually thank the school that I went to, Incarnation School in Queens Village, and I went there from first grade to eighth grade. I was one of the last classes that was really comfortably integrated. They were just the right balance of white people, black people, girls, boys. We even had Indians and we had Chinese. It was just so multicultural, but we weren't racist, and we were just, I don't know, the priests were not pedophiles. The nuns were, they were slapping us with rulers. I was always in trouble, but I never got sexually abused or physically abused. So I can't say that. And I do appreciate that foundation that I had because it made me who I am today, which I think is an open minded, critical thinker. And the other thing that I noticed is that we both have a military background. I actually attended the U.S. Naval Academy alongside Carter Page in the class of 1993. And I learned at the Naval Academy that, yeah, they were trying to shove John McCain down our throat. We had to read his biography, and he was a hero to us at the Naval Academy. We had to write reports on him and everything. What was weird was that I was there before the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And you weren't supposed to be gay. As a matter of fact, the people that were going through the plebe summer and the Hell Week, with I'm sure you know what that is, they would use homosexuality as an excuse to get thrown out. Because at that time, if you were gay, you were dishonorably discharged, but you got out of there. So, I mean, it was tough because I went through two Hell Weeks. I went through one at the Newport Naval Base in Newport, Rhode Island, across from the War College. And then I went through another Hell Week as a plebe at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. And the easy out for me would have just been claiming that I'm gay, but I'm not gay, so I wasn't going to lie. So I stuck through it, and then I got an honorable discharge because I was a witness, the only witness, to the sexual assault of a female midshipman. It was making world headlines. This was before the internet, so it was in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and international newspapers, because there is a toxic leadership at the highest levels of the U.S. military. And I was being groomed to be part of Agenda 21, the depopulation plan. The way that they bring you in is through homosexuality. I was constantly being asked to be gay by the superior officers who were taking advantage of the plebes because they thought they had to follow all the orders. So they wanted to see who were the good order followers. Well, I was not a good order follower because I was like, I didn't join up to be gay. So I was always in trouble and everything. But I found it suspicious. I was like, wait a minute. I thought there wasn't supposed to be any gay stuff here. But the way to move up in rank is by being gay. So I started noticing, that's my problem, is I notice too much. I'm not an order follower. So then I started noticing that the order followers and the fags are the ones who are moving up, but they're also liars because you're not supposed to be gay. So I was like, wait, but you're clearly gay. Like, how does my gaydar is pretty good. I used to have these officers yelling at me and stuff like that, and I was like, dude, this guy's gay. Like, nobody noticed that this guy's gay, you know? So anyway, the whole thing just seemed like a charade to me. And so anyway, I told the truth. They said, listen, you know, go into hiding, shut up, because this is making too much noise. We're going to give you an honorable discharge. I was going on television and everything, and the CIA guy came up to me and said, listen, dude, you're like making, he didn't say dude. He was like, listen, we hear you're getting ready to write a book. We can't tell you what to do, but we strongly advise you against it, and we advise you to lay low and shut up. And I was there with my father at the Bayside Marketplace in Miami, Florida. This guy came out of nowhere, man. He totally looked like a CIA guy. They'd been following us. My father was like, listen, I can't tell you what to do either, but you heard what the guy said. So, like, you know. Anyway, I went into hiding for a while until I met a serial killer spinal surgeon named Dr. Charles C. Edwards, which is another story about a movie that I made called The Story of the Crackhead Jesus Trials, which has nothing to do with Jesus being a crackhead. But anyway, then I started realizing, following the money, that it was the Jews, because I was like, wow, the central bankers and all this stuff. It's the Jews who control the money, and when you follow the money of who's able to bribe this person and that person, who controls the Roman Catholic schools, who controls the Roman Catholic banks, like the Hebrew HIAS. What they would do is, it was a Jewish organization that would funnel the illegal immigrants into the Roman Catholic schools and charities and all that stuff, and then they would pedophile the kids out. So the Jews work with the Catholics. That's when I started realizing, because I was getting blacklisted. I would go on shows like Jim Fetzer and SGT Report, and they would, and even Gareth Ike. I was surprised. And I've been on all these shows, but every time I go on the shows, I name the Jew, and I noticed, wow, that's taboo. You're not allowed to name the Jew, and I would get censored. I mean, I have the distinction of being redacted on redacted. You know, like what the hell? And then Jim Fetzer got mad at me and blacklisted me and told everybody from Stu Peters to others to blacklist me because I was naming the Jew. Well, now everybody's naming the Jew. But once I realized, wow, wait a minute, it's not just the Jews, it's what I call the satanic Christians. Because it's not just the Roman Catholics. It's these evangelists, it's these like pop-up churches like Dustin, Nemos, and the Ministry of Light with Chaplain Bob Walker, and some new guy named Bill Byers who come out of nowhere. All these people are grifting off of Jesus, spreading hate and lies in the name of Jesus, as long as they raise their hand and say praise Yahweh, like Dustin Nemos always does. You know, it's like, it's horrible. So now I've started focusing on the satanic Christians. So now not only do I have the people who don't want to believe that it's the Jews against me, now I have the satanic Christians who are like, oh my God, how dare you? I never said I don't believe in Jesus or the golden rule, but that's my Christianity. But now there's such a horrible sense of Christianity with these fake Christians like Dustin Nemos who are really giving Christianity a bad name. They're like the Epstein for Jews. You've got Nemos with Christians. So like, I'm even feel dirty saying that I'm a Christian, because really all I believe in is Jesus and the golden rule. And whether Jesus was real or not or whatever, because I know there were Jesuses before Jesus and stuff like that. But how can you go wrong with the golden rule? Doesn't matter, you know, who you are or what you do, just treat others the way you would want to be treated. So that's really like and it's not even a religion, it's just my mantra, really. So I know religion is the opium of the people. It's designed to control people and everything. So we have a problem. Now that you and I are agreeing on that it's not just the Jews, that it's you're focused on the Catholic Church. I'm saying it's the satanic Christians, because it's not just the Jehovah's Witnesses have horrible thing going on. That thing Scientology has a horrible thing going on. Mormon has been debunked, and that's where they get their CIA agents and stuff like that, because those people are easily like brainwashed. Like all these Seventh-day Adventists, all Protestants, Baptists, you notice they're all woke. They have the gay flag there as if homosexuality is normal. It's total deviancy. A lot of people get upset because I'm not woke and I don't say, hey, listen, gay pride. No, fuck that shit, you know? Anyway, the point that I'm making is now I'm starting to realize, hearing what you're saying and what I've learned and everything, it's not just the Jews and the Christians, satanic Christians. Like you said, it's those that we don't even know about. The ones that you're naming, the Medicis and all these black nobility families, even they're controlled. And I know they're getting ready to release this alien thing where they're supposedly going to release the files. They're not going to release shit, man. But I do believe that there are entities that are not human, because it's not natural to rape, torture, murder, and then eat babies. That goes against like human nature. It's just evil, pure. And so I believe, like you said, these people are blackmailed. They're bribed. They've tried it with me. As an artist, I've been in the art world. I've, met a lot of the people that are connected to the Diddy and Epstein and all this stuff. And when I was offered that opportunity, I said, no, I don't trust these people. I get a bad vibe from these people. But they just use that to control you, to have something over you. There's entities above them who may not even be human, really. I'm really starting to think that we are being led by what they call either the Nephilim or the Elohim, or Some call them aliens or demons, whatever, giants, and we're just their like cattle. That's why they call us goyim, because they feed off of our loosh, and they use the Jews and these Roman Catholics as the prison guards because we're on a prison planet. They give us the false impression that we're free, that we have a democracy. That's all bullshit. Elections are all rigged, and hospitals are killing fields. They have the ability to regenerate limbs. If you lose an arm, a leg, if your spine is done, you go to these underground cities. They have medical labs there with technology that can, you will not be paralyzed and your arm will boop, grow up, you know? You don't need these bionic legs. They're doing that transhumanism as a way of eliminating mankind and moving us into this robotic transhuman thing because they want us extinct because we've outlived our purpose and we are asking too many questions. There's too many people like you and I. So in the meantime, what I'm noticing, and again, I'm just noticing, I could be wrong, but they have people like you said, Stu Peters, who I've been on his show. And the moment that I started questioning him, because that's the thing, you're not allowed to go on somebody's show and question their belief system. If you do, you're blacklisted. That's what I notice. I go on these shows, they invite me on the shows, they think I'm part of their like club. And then when I go on the club and like you and I are having a conversation, I don't agree with everything you say, but listen, you bring facts and you bring receipts. So I'm not going to sit here and argue with you just for the sake of arguing with you. That's like ridiculous. But that's what these people do in the alt news media or the so-called truth teller arena. I bring receipts. I show them the receipt, like with Dustin Nemos. I bring him receipts, and he's like, "No, that's not true." Like what he did with you. It's gaslighting. It's projection. It's inversion. It's just, no, you're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. Oh, you muted me. Oh, you're censoring me. I'm gone. And then look, he's cheated. It's like, no, dude, like that's not true. But they have their cult of personality, and this is why it's so dangerous, and this is why it's calling it out. Because you got enough of these people like the magatards. Trump can do no wrong. I'm like, holy cow, they're not seeing what this guy's doing? And if you go against that, they go against you. I have it right now in this live stream that we're doing. Before you and I even went on, and Mr. Luke, there was already thumbs down. We didn't even start the show. So there's people who just saw your name in the title and were like, oh, you know what? Fuck that guy. Thumbs down. I'm like, nice. So we got some haters in the audience, you know? So this is the mentality that we're dealing with, and that's exactly what they want. Those people that you said, the hidden hand, the names that we don't know. I'm talking above the Medicis. I'm talking above the black nobilities. Those entities, I don't even want to call them humans, who feed off of us. They love the division. And so they pay, because I've seen Dustin Nemos's support system. You can see it. It's public. You can go on Give, Send, Go. The guy has somebody, I don't know who it is, but some people give him $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty nice. Like, who's giving you this, you know? So I'm going, you know what? He's got an extensive arrest record. He admitted during the X Space that he cut a deal with the government. So he's an informant. He's a narc. He's a snitch. He's a COINTELPRO. And what they do is he plays his role. He's an antagonist. He gets people on like you to discredit you. He has people on like me to discredit me. That's his job, to just poison the well. And he gets paid for it. But he's always claiming to be poor. That's the other thing, you know? So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I just wanted to let you know that I see what you're saying. It totally makes a lot of sense. A lot of people get upset at you because you don't name the Jew and you're not just like everybody else saying, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. I get it. And I have started saying it's the satanic Christians. Because again, it's not just the Roman Catholic Church. And I don't paint with the broad brush. I know there's a lot of good Jews out there. There's a lot of good Christians. There's a lot of good of everything. But they want us so divided. And that's where we're at right now. And that's why I have this show. Because I want to bring people like you and Mr. Luke on, who I'd like Mr. Luke to speak to us now on what he thinks about all this.
Go ahead, Luke.
Hey, wow. What a thing. How can I follow that? How can I follow Johnny?
Well, but here's how you can do it. You can follow it by giving your own journey, because there are going to be people in the audience that identify with your journey.
Yeah. So I'm Mr. Luke. I'm living in the United Kingdom of Islam, which it's turning into. My journey is started round about the time of COVID, which was it was quite a key moment in my life, because I went from being, well, quite insular and isolated, to actually meeting people who thought the same as I did, who had the same sort of worldview. So I met a number of people who obviously knew that COVID was a complete scam, what it was all about. The fact that they, all about the PCR and the Jim Jones juice. That was, and then I made some connections, and obviously went off on my own, did a lot of my own research. I used to be a completely Jesuit, what's the word, inculcated. I used to have a complete and total, I used to believe in space. I used to believe in spinning globes, spinning water balls, and and these, and in infinite space up in this direction, and da 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 da. I thought that the Bible was not a thing, just a like I don't know what it I knew it existed, but I didn't know what it was. I'm now learning, obviously, that is by design, that the entire reality that we've been fed from an early age is deliberately been to it's like on that heliosorcery documentary, which I do advise everyone to watch. It's very well made. It's very easy to watch, and it gets you thinking. It does get you thinking about the whole, about how your reality has been created. And that makes you sort of question some things. So thoroughly recommend that one.
Luke had a great, and I'm going to help you. Not going to step on you, but I'm going to help you with what you told me in our private conversation. Is that as he's in his journey of being disgusted away from mainstream narratives, at every turn where he's asking questions, he's finding that from our perspective, from our Christian perspective, when he's questioning things like deep space and Darwin and dinosaurs, that they were all weaponized to mock what he valued, but what he thought had some value, until we had real science and dinosaurs and deep space and Charles Darwin. And as he's realizing
Freemason.
Right. Well, the absolute fact that his grandfather's a Freemason, and so that he might have been the end run in relation to that. The Royal Society is just run by Freemasonry. What are Freemasons? Freemasons are secret keepers. What secrets do you have to keep? Are you a scientist, or are you a secret keeper? What is it? So no, you're a secret keeper. It's phony science. It's phony science. It's not observable, testable, repeatable. It does not utilize the scientific method. Evolution, right? Okay, so you had a lightning bolt, and it struck a puddle of sludge, and there was amino acids, and they turned into tadpoles, and then
absolutely ridiculous.
And it's not. It's not provable. It's not provable. Just like Dustin Nemos' bullshit. It's not provable. It's an unfalsifiable fallacy. So you can say it and sling it and do whatever you want to with it. You can manipulate people and abuse people with it. Anytime, I'm going to shut up on just with one thing.
No, you're cool, man.
Anytime you have to trust an expert, you're being lied to. I'll go back to what Luke was saying about the PCR and the corona hoax, right? Oh, I know when I'm sick. No, you don't. You don't know when you're sick. We will take a sample from you, and we'll put it in this. We'll put some
reagent or something.
Right. We'll put preservative. We'll put a preservative in it, and then we'll put it in monkey kidney cells, and then we'll put it in bovine. We'll put bovine serum. Wait. Bovine serum. What is it? What the hell is bovine? Oh, well, we have these embryonic cows that we sliced took their brains out. Are you out of your mind? And then we're gonna spin it around in a test tube, and then we're gonna hit it with a polymerase chain reaction. Oh, well, is that a sound test? Is that a good diagnostic? Well, no. Actually, all it does is if you increase the cycles enough time, you can see whatever you want to see it. And by coincidence, the guy that created it said, I almost want to be a Buddhist. I was born and raised Catholic, but I almost want to be a Buddhist because he used the polymerase chain reaction. And you could find anything. And anybody, said Carrie Banks Mullis, who just so happened to die on, I think it was August 14th, 2019. Hey, what's that day? Is that the birthday of the Jews? No, it's the anniversary of the resurrection of the Jesuits. The Jesuits were suppressed in 1773, and they came back to life in 1814 on the exact day that Carrie Banks Mullis died, right before the scamdemic. And oh, by the way, he was quite the pain in the neck. He had a lot of mean and nasty things to say over the AIDS controversy, and the guy who was the name and the face of the AIDS controversy at the time, a Jewish guy trained in a Jewish school. Oh no, it's Italian Roman Catholic Anthony Fauci, trained by Jesuits. Oh, as a matter of fact, Fauci claims everything he knows about vaccines and viruses he learned from the Jesuits. What a coincidence. So from AIDS to the corona hoax, the guy that's the central figure is a Jew? No, a Jesuit-trained Italian Roman Catholic. And oh, by the way, the AIDS outrage, which is nothing more. What does AIDS make you waste away and die? No, AIDS doesn't make you waste away and die. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing. HIV doesn't cause AIDS, and AIDS doesn't cause you to waste away and die. Johnny, that's ridiculous. I've watched people waste away and die. Yeah, because they took Anthony Fauci's chemotherapy, because they gave him a test. They used the polymerase chain reaction to, you have HIV. Oh, you have HIV. The scam of the century prior to the corona hoax is the AIDS hoax. And that's, they were mass murdering. They targeted homosexuals because that's an expendable community that no one's going to fight for. Targeted the homosexuals. They killed them off with AZT. They saw that it worked, and they took the hero of that demonic story, and it is, I absolutely agree with you, Vic, there's definitely interdimensionals in play, and they made him the name and the face of the corona hoax, Anthony Jesuit Fauci. I don't know if that helps you or hurts you, Luke. I'm sorry.
No.
Luke,
that's cool, man.
I want to ask you, Luke, because you brought Giovanni and I together, letting me know about the so-called debate that he had with Dustin Nemos. And one of the things that I've been covering from a psychology point of view, just so you know, Giovanni, my degree is in psychology. I did abnormal behavior and child psychology. I did counseling for prisoners that were in halfway houses. And I also am trained in rape victims. And then in the master's level, I have I'm almost at journalist master's, but I studied for journalism in my master's, and also I'm registered as a journalist as well. So I do have that. Some people think I'm, but no, I'm registered. You could look it up. I'm a journalist. So the reason I'm following these stories is because of what Giovanni and Mr. Luke just said, the connection between the Christians and the Jews that are working towards this depopulation plan. And the depopulation plan has many aspects of it. It's called a polycrisis. So they have everybody in fear. They have everybody questioning everything. Questioning is good, by the way. I encourage the questioning. That's how I got here on my journey.
It's asking the right questions, though, Victor, isn't it? Not the questions that they want you to ask.
Exactly. And so what I'm noticing is that there's people who are controlled opposition or COINTELPRO or whatever you want to call them, who their job is to use the Bible as a weapon and to quote it and to misquote it, because you can quote that thing in any way that you want it. And it's been written and rewritten, and like Giovanni was saying, once they develop the printing press, you can get a copyright on a Bible, if you just change a couple of things. So every time a new Bible gets printed, like Trump just printed a new Bible and he's making money off of it, they had to change at least one word in the Bible for it to be copyrighted. So what we have now is completely been bastardized. And if you know about the Council of Nicaea and that whole thing, I mean, I can't even trust the Bible.
I'd advise people to look at Lorraine Day. There she's got a BitChute channel. She's sadly no longer with us, but she was mentioned on that video, the video that you posted, Victor, a few weeks back about the cosmic conspiracy, about the Gnostic,
Yes.
the Essenes and all that stuff. She was mentioned there, but I went and looked at her video, and she's really good. So she's one of the things she mentioned was about the how very complicated words were inserted into the Bible where they weren't really needed. So it's like you then needed somebody to explain to you what these complicated words meant, because they were there just for that reason. And also about something she was saying about the one of the commandments was taken out, which was the false idols. There was supposed to be 10 commandments, and then at some point the one about false idols was taken out, and then they had to duplicate one. They had to say, you don't cover after your neighbor, and you don't cover after your neighbor's property or something.
That's the Catholic Ten Commandments. The Catholic Ten Commandments is convoluted by design, because of idolatry. That's they live off of the icons.
Because they do have idols. They have idols.
It's a cottage industry. It's a cottage industry.
Yeah.
So the point that I'm making is, like, the reason why we're careening towards extinction is because these people are consumed with materialism, fame. That's what they offer you, fame and money. And so people like Dustin Nemos and Chaplain Bob Walker and you name them. And I'm just talking about the small ones. And the reason why I'm going after the small ones is because if you're gardening, you got to pick out the weeds before they get big. These people have big aspirations. They're trying to grow. They're trying to get famous and everything like that. But they're misleading people. And the people are easily misled. They're just, I guess it's because they're lazy. I don't know. But I'm hearing people talk about faith, and people talking about hope. And they're not talking about truth. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to get to the truth. I have faith and hope that people are good, but I'm realizing they're really not. They're misguided. They think they're good. Like Dustin Nemo swears he's good. And he swears that you, Giovanni, are like a pedophile, And
a Jewish pedophile.
The thing is, it's like...
Jewish pedophile.
Yeah. And then the thing is, of course, when you actually see what's going on X and other platforms, his cult members think you're a pedophile too, and they swear you're a Jew. So,
but I was never arrested with drug paraphernalia within 1,000 feet of a daycare, so I'm not quite sure. I was never arrested and held for $1 million bond, possibly for a code that appears to be deviant sexual contact. I think that's what the code is. I may be misreading the code and arrest record, but that's
was all
my
called
point.
out on X as well, though, wasn't it? That was all called out on X as well, wasn't it? With the which we believe was.
And that's what's amazing. Think about the psychopathy of these people that they choose, like Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, and Dustin Nemos on a smaller level. He's called out and admitted it himself on X. The documentation is out there. The arrest photos,
But Victor, here's the point, though. Here's the problem. Not to step on it. Here's the problem. It's our concern is that when he's saying insane, outrageous things, I am a pastor and white Jesus hates Jews, and Jews are Nephilim, and Yahweh wants the Nephilim wiped out, man, woman, and child. He has the nerve to make those claims. And then behind him in his past is a massive arrest record. So it's natural for us to ask the question, are you playing a role? Is the government using you to stir people up, to upset people, to Jew bait, to trap people with some kind of sting play, some kind of sting action? Where is this? He's got multiple verified accounts on BitChute. What a surprise. He's extremely powerful. Stu Peters, even more so. You look at Stu Peters, you look at Minadio, Handsome Truth, and these guys are like rappers and what is your past? They had nothing to do with what they're doing now. It looks like at best they're grifting. They just fell ass backwards into Jew baiting on Rumble, and they're making tons of money in it. What is much more likely is they are playing a counterintelligence role of distraction, of Hegelian divide and conquer, and hey, here's what this does for the machine. When you just go out and Jew bait, it's the Jews, it encourages people to not examine, not use critical thinking, not to just be driven by emotion. Emotion disconnects your ability to ask for names, places, and dates. Ask for proper research. Ask for proper document. Oh, it's the Jews. Oh, it's Cirucci. Oh, it's not the Jews? Oh, come on. No, I'm all about proper investigation, and I'm telling you that the Roman Catholic Church, the black nobility, the things that we've mentioned here have centuries of control, centuries of experience. Military Rome and religious Rome, we're talking now millennia, now thousands of years of expertise at torture, enslavement, and control. Those are facts, okay? So that's my concern, that they are playing a role, that they are, so the machine creates these puppets, this clown, Minadio, who goes on TV and does a Nazi salute. And that's not me. That's not me, but that's what the machine, that's what the CIA, the counterintelligence machine says, oh, yes, it is. Because Minadio questions the narratives. So if he's questioning the narrative and he's a Nazi and you're questioning a narrative, you must be a Nazi too. Do you see the game? Do you see the game they're playing? And they try to lump us all in with these shills, with these feds, with these flipped feds.
Like Drake Shelton.
Oh my
going
goodness!
to the churches.
So Drake Shelton outed as you bet. Oh no, he's the Southern Israelite. No, he's a Freemason. He's a secret keeper. What are his secrets? He's one of the rare guys out there saying it's the Jesuits, right? So he goes out there and then he makes an ass out of himself, crashing a rank and file blue pill normie church there in where was it? Tennessee, I think. Right? And he's making an ass. They have to call the cops on him. Has to call the sheriff department, Jefferson County Sheriff Department on him. And they call him in and say, what? And now they report him on local news media. Here's this psycho who's breaking up a local, whatever, Baptist Methodist church with his crazy talk. Oh, turns out he's a conspiracy theorist that blames the Jesuits. And you got to watch out for this guy because he's batshit crazy. Oh, he also says the Bible says there's nothing wrong with adultery. He says I'm married and my wife encourages me to have sex with other women. That's what the Bible says. Are you out of your mind? And turns out a private investigator outed him as a Freemason. He's a secret keeper. What is his secrets? This is all a gambit. These are feds and shills who are impersonating us as truth seekers and skeptics. And then the machine doesn't crack down on them, they crack down on us. Oh, you're just like that Drake Shelton. You're just like Dustin Nemos. You're just like Minadio. You're a Nazi. You say that the Jews are Nephilim. We should wipe them out. You're jumping in on rank and file churches just to make an ass out of yourself. 501c3. How dare you? The hell? You have nothing to do with that. He's purposefully and when you see Reuters giving Dustin Krieger, aka Dustin Nemos, headlines, not a headline, but doing a spotlight on them, that's a red flag. That is the machine saying this guy is you. This guy, I have a news clip. I can actually share that for you. I don't want to cause a problem with the internet. A news clip of was it Channel 5 in Tennessee? I think it's Channel 5 in Tennessee giving a highlight to Minadio. Excuse me, because one of the thousands of school shootings, mass shootings, whatever the foolishness is traced back. Traced back to him, right? And he laughed it off. As a matter of fact, I can at least tell you the title. You can look it up for yourself. It is Channel 5. Here's how they I don't want to take our internet.
No, you're fine. Just while you're looking at that, I'll just say something about you said about like white Jesus and stuff. Well, that's like you were saying the other day about like the ethnocentric. You know, we all laugh about like the Korean Jesus with the slanty eyes and blah blah blah. But you know, white Jesus is just as fake. You know, and you obviously showed that Jesus would have been, the typical Palestinian, sort of appearance.
Hey, you're talking about Krieger again. He's got his part of his puppet show that I'm attacked because I stopped his puppet show. He monopolizes your focus because it's a show. It's not a real debate. He's not bringing names, places, and dates. He's bringing a show of distraction of smoke and mirrors. All I did was I said, no, I don't need you to monopolize the focus of the audience. If you have scriptures, you speak the scriptures from your perspective. You tell us audibly, verbally, and I will respond to them. You don't put on a show where now everyone's focused on your slides and then throw it at me, react. This is debates. Debates are a weaponized manipulation. They're not a proper fighting of perspectives of purviews. It's News Channel 5, neo-Nazi response to News Channel 5 reporting, celebrates school shooting. Oh, News Channel 5 is all on it. They're going to show how the neo-Nazis, and meanwhile, they're painting you. You're a neo-Nazi because Menadio represents you. Menadio questions official narratives. You question official narratives. Menadio is a neo-Nazi throwing off the salute. You're a neo-Nazi. Do you see how they play this game of association?
Propaganda. I want to bring in some from the live chat. AJM 1966 says, it's central casting for the shills who couldn't make it, in reference to what you were talking about, these failed rappers. Dustin Nemos is claiming to be a rapper and
Stu
stuff
Peters.
Like that. And then
Menadio is a rapper. Stu Peters is a rapper.
Yeah, and then you've got Jane Ava Tracy says, does Johnny have a opinion on why FTJ Media, which was run by Dave Gahari, and FTJ Media means fuck the Jews, was shut down after they were caught with one of their hosts committing fraud? Are you familiar with FTJ Media?
Look, I will tell you that. Think of it from the big picture perspective. If you want to froth people up with, I have a pendulum, I have a GIF that I created, love the Jews, hate the Jews, love the Jews, hate the Jews. If you want to distract people with that Hegelian, the best thing you could do is throw a little water on the fire, is tap the brakes of who is allowed to say it's the Jews. If you take someone who's expendable and you take them out of the picture, and then you then throw out the idea, oh, see that, the Jews got them. Is that, just step back and I'll look at the big picture. Is it across the board that you're not allowed to say it's the Jews? Or is it that the FTJ was taken out? FTJ, oh my goodness, without FTJ, there's nobody left to blame Jews. Meanwhile, they had this massive Twitter, one of the biggest social networks anywhere. It's all you see. It's absolutely insane. All you see. So you have to look at the big picture. From my perspective, I will tell you that once in a while when they're tapping the brakes on these expendables, they're just pouring fuel on the fire. Is it actually, you ask yourself, is it true that it's completely forbidden and completely controlled? Or is it that they're just putting fuel on the fire and having a select couple of people who are expendable and slapping them around and tapping the brakes on them? That's my perspective. And Victor's saying that there's some skullduggery in relation to their finances anyway. So I'm not surprised.
Mr. Luke, you were saying that England is now like Muslim.
Can I prime Luke? Can I prime Luke for that? Can I prime Luke for that? Let me prime you for it, pal. I'm not going to step on you, but I'm going to prime you for it, okay?
Go for it.
Because it is the exact same agenda as it is in Romerica, except rather than wide open borders here, streaming across the wide open borders are Hispanic Roman Catholics. Hispanic Roman Catholics, third world Roman Catholics. millions upon millions upon millions. And guess what? Donald Trump did absolutely Illuminati zero about it. Build that wall, build that wall, build that wall. He did nothing. ICE raids, ICE raids. I promise you, no one was rounded up in the ICE raid. It was all theater. It was specifically Jesuit theater. They have a big dog and pony show. They make everybody upset. They have a couple of crisis actors that pretended they got killed, and there's all kinds of hullabaloo, and now we have to back off from the ICE roundups. Meanwhile, we have the exact same problem that we've always had. Millions upon millions. Now, my family arrived as a result of a massive conspiratorial Roman Catholic push out of Italy. And before my family arrived, the Irish, the massive waves of Irish, and they weren't treated nicely. They were starved out by British Freemasons with the potato famine and forced into America. Massive influx. And now we have the tropes are absolutely true, though. The tropes of the Irish and Italians running guard, especially big city police departments, right? What a trope. Oh, Officer Santino, Officer Murphy. And it's absolutely legit. It's absolutely true because they came in and they took over infrastructure. Well, the difference between those generations and the current generation is not that the Irish and Italian versus Hispanic. It's that they're all Catholic. And those past generations were told you at least have to assimilate. You have to assimilate and blend in. Now, the next degree of the warfare is this current. They're told, don't assimilate. You stick out. This country owes you. They owe you. Don't assimilate. Don't become British. You're Pakistani. You're Egyptian. You're African. Don't assimilate. And here's the solution. In either case, especially in England, what's his name? Christopher Stephen Yaxley Lennon.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tommy Robinson. Oh, you know him better as Tommy Robinson. You know it's not his real name, right? He was rebranded. Why is he rebranded? Because he's a Fed. Because he's an ass. His job is to do exactly what Peters and Minadio and Adam Greenberg and Dustin Nemos, that they're playing a
totally
role.
Controlled.
They're playing a role. Is he out there making ration statements? Is he out there saying there is a conspiracy to take wave after wave after wave of Muslim immigrants and shove them down our throats to the point where the cops will actually cover up rape rings? They're coming in and they're trafficking our daughters. And the cops cover it up because, that would be insensitive to actually do our friggin' jobs, right? And who's the answer? Christopher Stephen Yaxley Lennon comes out. Oh, I'm sorry. He's the epitome of what it means to be British. He's Tommy Robinson. He comes out and says, we need to launch a crusade. He comes out with a rosary beads around him. We need to launch a crusade against these Muslims. We need to go medieval against these Muslims. Do you see how you're being manipulated? If you want your country back from Europe, if you want your country back from the waves of Muslim invaders, you need to go medieval and be a Catholic crusader. Do you see the Hegelian?
So, Luke, now that Giovanni's got you primed up, what do you have to say?
Yeah, the priming, Gio. That was a really good bit of priming. Thank you.
Love you guys. Give us your personal experience.
Right, yeah. So, I can't remember what I was up to. So Victor, help me out.
Oh, you know what?
No, so Victor was asking you said Muslim invasion. So Victor was asking, do you have any personal experience?
So it was about the Muslim invasion. Yeah, so we had like loads just like staying in hotels, right? And then you did have a load of people like protesting outside of hotels for a while. I don't know if that's still going on. You had a lot of people not very happy about that. And then the latest one, right? The latest thing we've been told by the government is, oh, don't worry, they're all being shipped out of the hotels, but they're going to, get this, disused military bases.
Nice.
But it's like they're disused, so it's all right, you know?
Luke, what's your take, and those around you with the recent visit by King Charles to speak with Trump and speak in front of the U.S. population? What are the people saying about that?
I have to admit I'm disconnected from that. Anything that it's like a little bit like you said, Victor, when you said, "Oh, you're documenting about the people in your life and the people that you've met." It's like, I don't have anything to do with King Charles. I don't have anything to do with Trump, and I don't really speak to anyone who really cares about those people. Obviously, know that they're both massive paedophiles, and yeah, it's just like. Yeah, it's just all show. Who was it who said like the politics is the entertainment division of the military industrial complex, and that's all it
Yeah.
is. It is literally just a show, and I don't really pay a lot of mind. But yeah, I don't know what actually happened. I haven't even got TV, so it's like
Nice.
I follow you, I follow Johnny, I kind of do my own research, and I don't, yeah, because I stopped believing anything remotely mainstream a long time ago. So yeah,
So I know you live like about an hour outside of London. Correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah. Well,
But
kind of,
what's it like there now? I've been to England a number of times, and every time I went, I had a great time. But I hear it's completely different now. When you walk outside, is it a lot of homeless people? I have a guy named Baltic Tiger who comes on the show, and he lives, I think, in Birmingham.
right.
And there's a lot of homelessness. There's a lot of drug addicts. There's a
Mm.
rat infestation there, and they're like, it's really bad there. Is it that bad where you're at, or is
Where
it not so
I
bad?
think where I am, we're a little tiny little bit out on the outskirts, so I don't think we're seeing like as much of it here at the moment. So yeah, I know. Obviously, I mean, you do see the occasional homeless, but not to the degree that you would see like in London or in like in metropolitan areas. It's not like metropolitan where I am, so it's yeah, we don't really see as much. I'm sort of a little bit insulated from it, but obviously I'm like obviously watching what's going on, and but yeah, it's just it's just it's all the same stuff, isn't it? It's all about like just they want people to be using more cycles and scooters and all this stuff, and not to take your car around and stuff like that. It's not gotten as bad here as in some places. I mean, I heard like in some places they tried to like they're literally blocking off the roads because they don't want people driving. They did this thing in Oxford a while ago where they basically had like it was like different zones you could go in. They had all these like zones outside Oxford, and like every time you went into a different zone you had to like pay or something like that. It was something like stupid like that. And it was like, oh yeah, it was just a test to see what it was like. And I think they're just gonna it's just gonna be another. It's all just taxes, isn't it? It's all
It's
just
slave
extra
training,
taxes.
Luke.
They've
It's
got,
slave training.
yeah,
The
that's what it is.
freedom
That's what it is.
freedom of
Yeah, yeah,
movement is something they
yeah.
wish to restrict. It's
They do
something they
totally,
wish to restrict.
100%.
They've already won that battle in Europe and Australia.
Mm,
They won that battle as far as personal defense. They've used endless false flags as excuses
mhm,
to confiscate your firearms and your ability to defend yourself.
mhm,
Now they want
mhm.
to take away your freedom of movement.
Yeah,
By
absolutely,
the way,
100%.
Luke, you mentioned that you watch Giovanni's show and my show. I I haven't seen Giovanni's show, but I'm figuring that it's quite different. What is it about both of our shows that you found interesting enough to watch? Because there's a
It,
lot out
there is
there
there
for you
is
to
a lot
choose
out
from.
there, and I don't know why. I think it's by the grace of God that I found you both, to be honest, because you are both thoroughly you're buried to fuck, both of you, really, you are. And it's like I've had to go through, all the fucking shit. I've had to go through the shit to drill down, to you. I have no idea how I found you. I think, Johnny, I saw you on a Wake the Dead, on when you were on the Wake the Dead podcast, which is also a very good podcast.
Right,
I'd
right.
invite people to look at that. Um, and obviously you were on the Migmag and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's like truth. Truth sounds different. You had a guest on who said that. I think he ultimately turned out to be a shell, unfortunately. But truth does sound different. And it's like I know genuine people. I mean, I was taken in by Nemos for a while. Or Krieg or everything. I'll be honest with you. And to be honest, he was and he did help me a little bit. Well, it probably wasn't even his own research, but he helped me a little bit on the whole kind of level plane, journey, and stuff, and a few things. I don't know about, I'm not 100% sure about, the Nephilim, the giants and stuff like that. It's like, it could be a thing, it could definitely be a thing. But I know that like the dinosaurs is all nonsense because they, they've never found a complete skeleton. What you go and see in a museum is just all like plaster cast of something. So, oh no, we can't put the real bones there because it's too dangerous. So we're going to put all this plaster cast, up there.
One of my favorite stories, Luke. Like, have you heard of? Was it the British Museum? Where was Dippy the Diplodocus taken down from?
Sure. I mean, Smithsonian is another big one as well, which
the Smithsonian. Yeah. Hey, look up the Smithsonian logo and put it side by side with the Jew logo. Oh, no, not the Jew logo, the Jesuit logo. Put the Smithsonian logo, the very epitome of raw science. Put the Smithsonian logo side by side with the Jesuit logo and tell me what you see. Adam Greenberg.
Hey, by the way, Luke, when did you first start noticing that there was something not right with Dustin Nemos?
When did I start thinking there was something not right? I mean, your shows have helped a lot because because like you say, it's like you don't even really need to say that much. You can just you can just sort of show the kind of show certain things which are. They look weird. They don't seem right. And I don't know. I just grab it. I mean, I watched Nemos when he was on your show. But then, yeah, but then I don't know. He's a shill. I just know he's a shill now. And
let me tell you that this is what's so difficult about trying to understand. There does seem to be a legitimate issue of genetic tampering from certain passages in Scripture. And this is what really worries me, is that only the most insidious experts can take those passages and pull them out of context and expand them to an extent that it is no longer warranted. It's no longer warranted, such as the idea that God ruthlessly commanded all the populace of a specific geographic area should be wiped out, man, woman, and child. From there, we say, well, clearly the only explanation that makes sense is a genetic purge. And this is Canaan. So I guess everybody in Canaan is a Nephilim. Everybody in Canaan has this tainted blood. And that is an unwarranted expansion of something that may have some truth to it. Here's a great thing that I just came up with. AI, my girl on AI, Gemma, my personalized Google Gemini helped me to see this. Can you extrapolate and therefore say, all Edomites, every offspring of Esau is a Nephilim, and Jews are actually fake Jews, or they're actually Edomites, and they're all. Can you say the same thing about Canaanites? All Canaanites are Nephilim. All Canaanites have tainted blood. No, you can't say that. That's way too broad a brush, and I can prove it from Scripture. For instance, when the Hebrews came and took over Jericho, they had interaction with a prostitute named Rahab. She was a Canaanite. She was not Jewish. She lived in that area. She was a Canaanite. And she ended up being in Jesus' genealogy. She was in Jesus' genealogy, and she was saved out of a mass execution of that entire area. Why? Well, she was the only one that had pure blood? No, because she was the one that helped the spies. So you see how you take this and massively extrapolate. Everywhere that he's checked, everywhere that these frauds are checked, they have to back off, but they don't let go. For instance, they used to say that Cain and everybody on down were the spawn of Satan. Cain and everyone, Satan had sex with Eve, and therefore Cain and all his children are evil. Well, here's the problem. That destroys the gospel. That destroys the validity of the gospel. If Jesus of Nazareth isn't completely human, then his sacrifice doesn't extend to humans. Or his sacrifice also extends to fallen angels. So we have a problem with the gospel. If there's any question about Jesus' lineage, whether it's through Adam and Eve, because Cain is the firstborn. So if Cain is actually born from Satan and not from Adam and Eve, well, then anybody born after Cain, whether it's Abel or Seth, they're also tainted, right? Same thing with Esau. Here's the problem. Genesis 4:1 says Adam knew his wife, and they bore Cain. And Eve said, with the grace of Satan. Oh, no, she didn't say that. With the grace of God, I have born a man-child. I have given birth to Cain. Clearly, the scripture says, so now they back. He used to say Cain was Satan's child, and now we don't say that. He used to say Esau was Nephilim because he's red and hairy. Oh, well, if you say that, then you are countered with the fact that Esau was technically firstborn. Esau and Jacob are twins. If Esau is Nephilim, then Jacob is Nephilim. Well, then why is Esau red and hairy? It's actually it's a play on words. The real issue is not biological determinism. Biological determinism destroys the validation of the gospel. Jeremiah 31, Old Testament passage that you would think has nothing to do with Jesus of Nazareth and the New Covenant, New Testament. Old Testament passage, Jeremiah, Yahweh tells Jeremiah to tell the Hebrews, no longer will you say our fathers eat sour grapes and our children's teeth are set on edge. In other words, no more. With the new covenant of Jesus, there will be no more generational curses. They are done. Every person will stand on his own bloodline? No, his own personal choices. His own choices. Why is it that God hated Esau and loved Jacob? Because Esau was Nephilim? No, because Esau had no self-control. He was red. It's a play on the red porridge that he gave up his birthright for because he was hungry. He had no self-control and no discipline. That's the real issue. John chapter 8, verse 44, where Jesus calls the Jews, calling him out, the children of Satan. Does that mean that they're all Nephilim? Does that mean they're all physically? No, because in verse, I think it's 31, right there, he says, I know you are children of Abraham. See, now Nemos, the lying, twisting Jesuit that he is, just avoids the context. 3 or 4 verses before, Jesus says, I know you're children of Abraham, but because you let sin rule over you, I have no part in you, and your spiritual father is actually Satan. In just 2 chapters before, he explains to them, you have no part in me unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood. And all the people who were looking for a free meal, they drifted away. And his disciples came and said, Lord, this is hard. I can't follow. I'm not going to eat your flesh and drink your blood. And then he explains to you, I'm not talking physically. I'm talking spiritually. Where there's life in spirit. I am the door. I am the vine. I'm not telling you I'm a door or a vine. By the way, this is why I think this guy's a Jesuit. Not necessarily a Jesuit himself, but he's being fed this stuff from a Jesuit FBI, from a Jesuit government agency. Because it's exactly what the Catholic Church does. The Catholic Church causes division and misunderstanding based on taking Scripture improperly, literally, when you shouldn't be taking it literally. To include Jesus calling the Jews, doubting him as Satan's children, to include Jesus saying that this is my body, this is my flesh. Do you know the Catholic Church mass murdered hundreds upon hundreds of Christians? Because they refuse to acknowledge transubstantiation when the Catholic Church does its magic and miracle on the altar, and the little sun wafer and the wine literally become Jesus' flesh and blood. And if a Christian says that's heresy, that's not biblical. Do you know the Catholic Church used to burn them alive, used to torture them to death? How many Christians have died over refusing to acknowledge the literal misunderstanding and misuse of transubstantiation? Okay, so I just want to throw that out there. This is how just demonically Jesuitical that Nemos's crap is. The nerve to call himself a Christian pastor. That's what triggers me, you piece of shit. That's what triggers me, okay? I'm talking to you. And my offer stands that I gave in my video. Let me shut up. I'm go off on a tangent, but I want to explain that to Luke. There is something there, okay? There is some genetic skullduggery. In no way should it be expanded to the ludicrous extremes that Krieger, with his criminal past, he's not being used at all. No, he's not being fed this at all, right? If he were legitimate, if he were a real Christian, in no way, shape, or form, like we talked about earlier, he's putting this insane idea that the white-skinned, long-haired, blue-eyed, Robert Powell silliness, Jesuit Jesus, right? The pacifist, effeminate Jesuit, that's real. That's real. Meanwhile, a scholarly reconstruction of a typical Middle Eastern Palestinian male from 2,000 years ago, that's fake. That's fake. Just boldly ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. First of all, no one's saying that's Jesus. They're just saying that's what an average man looked like in that area could be Jesus. Repeatedly, Scripture says there's nothing in this man that sets him apart from anybody else. Judas has to draw the attention of the temple guards to which one is Jesus, because he was Robert Powell. He had beautiful, long, flowing, effeminate hair and blue eyes and white skin, the way this idiot Nemos claims, or because he blended in with all the other guys and he had to be betrayed with a kiss, as was prophecy, as was prophesied. They betrayed me with a kiss. They sell me for 30 pieces of silver. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The thing that I'm noticing in doing this show, which for me, again, I said it before the show, I'm just the witness. I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. I'm not the executioner. I'm just trying to get at the truth. And what I'm noticing is that so many people, who, a lot of which are good people, by the way. Yes, I've, through their own doing, exposed 1% of the 99% of guests that I've had on this show. But what ends up happening is everybody has such strong beliefs in their interpretation of the Bible. But what I'm noticing is very curious is there's books in the Bible that have been taken out. There are books and history that has been hidden from us. It's like trying to put together a million-piece puzzle, and they've only given you about 100,000 of the pieces. And with the 100,000 of the pieces, people swear, like Dustin Nemos, he swears you're wrong. You swear he's wrong. Laura Baker came on the show. I'd like to have you and Laura Baker on together to see where you guys go with that. And I'm seeing that, yeah, everybody's got a little piece of the puzzle, but overall, we're all just divided. But we don't know really.
Here's the problem, Vic. The problem is if someone is misrepresenting themselves. There's a difference between being sincerely wrong and being a shill whose purpose is to deceive.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Luke.
100% agree with you. 100% agree with you there, Johnny. That is the thing. Is if you're genuinely seeking the truth, and it's like that's the journey I'm on at the moment. Because I know that the Bible's been fucked with. I know that it's all been rewritten, and so many errors in there. I'm genuinely seeking. I want to know what it's all about. But yeah, Nemos is obviously taking stuff out of context. He's he's
not a Christian pastor. He's not a Christian
pastor. No way in hell is he a Christian pastor.
When did you first suspect this, Giovanni? Because how did you guys even get to that debate situation? And did you know who he
I got
was
fished.
before
I
you
got
debated
fished.
him
I
or
got
no?
some ridiculous email address of probably him, probably Nemos, phishing me, pretending to be, what is this? Jacob, and the email address is...
It was a tutormail.com.
Yoshi Yair,
privacy.
Yoshi Yair edu24 at tutamail.com. What the F? What the heck?
Yeah,
and so this person is like, oh, oh, Johnny, you're great, and Dustin's great. You two should be great together. You should take the Nemos challenge and have him talk to you and see if you can defend how it really isn't the Jews. And eventually they're like, and write me back in Shakespearean gibberish, like suddenly they're the King James. Oh, Johnny, the shills used to run from thee. Dustin brought scripture and you ran. What the F am I looking at? What is this? It's not a real person.
The whole debate thing, the whole debate thing. It's it's the same as that Charlie Kirk thing. I mean, who has a little banner saying, "Oh, prove me wrong." I mean, what ridiculous is that?
That's not research, Luke. That's not research. Research is not, I'm gonna throw crazy shit at you. React. I'm gonna put a bunch of stuff on the screen. React. Wait, whoa. No, that's not how you
real journalism like you do and like Victor does. It's a dying art, and that's the sad thing. Right. It's a sad thing. All the mainstream stuff. It's all controlled by donations and people like even in England, like all the so-called like left, all the so-called free press was all totally on board with the whole COVID scam. It was saying wear 2 masks and a face shield and stand 12 feet apart or whatever else. It's all. But the real journalism stuff that you guys do is like the most valuable. It's the most valuable thing. And keep doing it. It's like it's reaching the people it needs to reach. That's what I want to say to you. If I say anything, if I can say anything in this chat.
I want to ask both of you, and I want to start with Luke. What do you see as the real danger behind someone like Dustin Nemos in the immediate? And then I want to ask you, Giovanni, the same question, because then I'll start off. I see him as the modern Jim Jones. And I see this leading towards something like Jonestown, because he's already trying to get his cult to join him in some breakaway society where he says he's going to be the mayor and the sheriff, and he's going to deputize people. And that's exactly what happened. I've posted the documentaries on my channel about Jim Jones. I see the correlation between the two, because Jim Jones had his military people that were there, that were his deputies. And anybody who wanted to leave when they were about to drink the Kool-Aid, he ordered them to shoot these people. So they didn't have a choice. It was like, commit suicide or you're dead. And that's where I see Dustin Nemos. I've seen him eat the borax in front of his audience, and he sells this stuff. And
was it borax or roach poison?
Roach poison. Yeah, it was roach poison.
Yeah. There's difference between. I mean, stuff like go on.
Yeah, well, it's dangerous. If you drink, if you have too much roach poison, you could die. And plus, he makes these products, but he doesn't even wash his hands. So there's a lot of stuff in it it's dangerous. There's just dangerous there. Luke, what do you see as what's dangerous with Dustin Nemos?
I mean, I won't claim to be the expert on him, because obviously, I've just kind of been following you guys and seeing what's been going on. I mean, it's the danger is, one of the dangers obviously is the kind of whole misdirection, the fact that he's obviously pointing fingers at, and the fact that he's basically inciting violence in as close as you possibly could, as close as you possibly could. And, and he shouldn't be getting away with it. He should not be getting away with it. And it's just that whole, like Johnny said, that the whole lumping together thing, the fact that, and it's just distraction. It's just distraction is what it is, it's just that is a big danger as well, because, we need to be focused, like you say, we need to be, we need to be united. We need to be united, and people like that are getting in. If we let them, they will get in the way.
I have a couple
Giovanni?
I have a couple of pictures to share for you guys, real quick, in relation to Jim Jones. Yeah. Here's Jim.
Jane Ever Tracy says, Dustin wants his cult to sell their homes and buy RVs to travel with him to start a new community. He is encouraging his cult not to fear death and to welcome it, just like Jim Jones.
Wow.
Yeah, Jim was definitely a CIA asset, probably a CIA operative who was secretly empowered by the Catholic Church. Here he is wearing a Roman Catholic priest collar. And actually, okay, so let's try this one. Let's stop the share and try this one. Here he is. Who is this that he's standing with? This is...
Oh, wow. Yeah. Isn't that the governor of California?
Yes, it is. Edmund Gerald Jerry Brown #2. I think he was Jerry Brown's housing and urban development czar. Did you know that? Did you know that he was he was in the Jerry Brown? Now, Jerry Brown is a Jew, right? Oh, wait, no, he's not. Hang on. I think I have some other information on exactly who Jerry Brown is. Jerry Brown. Hang on. Here's another one of who Jerry Brown is. Let me get this share going here.
By the way, does it concern you that Dustin Nemos is connected to General Michael Flynn and was also at the Mar-a-Lago, which doesn't make any sense because he's a convicted felon and they don't let you anywhere near the president or Mar-a-Lago if you've got
well,
that extensive...
Now, let's be fair. Dustin says he's not part of the Flynns and the Gambles anymore. Brian and Alicia Gamble, absolutely feds who were integral to the January 6th Fedsurrection. Michael Thomas Flynn, his real first name is General. He's Jewish, right? Oh, no, he's Irish Catholic too. And he's the former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Oh, it must be the Jews. Here's Governor Moonbeam Jerry Brown #2 standing behind his devout Roman Catholic daddy, who was the governor of California. And he is wearing a Jesuit cassock. He was supposedly almost a Jesuit priest himself. Oh, wait, it must be the Jews. Jerry Brown #1 and Jerry Brown #2. When you see generational far-left Catholics trading power in seats, Daddy Jerry Brown is Edmund. They called him Edmund, right? Running California. And then baby, almost Jesuit priest. He was a governor back in the 60s or 70s, and then a governor again recently. Nobody else was qualified to run the People's Republic of Mexipornia than Jerry Brown, Jesuit Jerry Brown, son of Jerry Brown. Okay? And here he is, an almost Jesuit priest. And remember the 5th of November, there he was also tied to Jim Jones. Oh, it must be the Jews, Johnny. It must be the Jews. Oh, so what do I have concern? Answer your question. Answer my concern about Dustin Nemos. Do you want to shut me up first?
Well, I just want to point out that the reason why I'm concerned about General Michael Flynn is because I've had whistleblowers on my show who brought me evidence showing that General Michael Flynn's involved in human trafficking, child trafficking, and
he's a honeypot. Listen,
laundering.
anything that Flynn is doing, there's a system over top him. It's not that he's out there by himself child trafficking. He's a part of a much bigger system that runs through the CIA back to Rome. He's Irish Catholic. His brother is still a 50-star general, Irish Catholic in the army right now. A family of generals rule. Oh, it must be the Jews, Johnny. It must be the Jews. There are thousands. I've got a massive folder of all the Jesuit-trained Roman Catholics in America. The real power is in the pentagram. The real power is in the CIA, not in Hollywood, not in phony media.
Isn't the Pentagon is like a mirror of the Farnese family castle?
Brilliant. The pentagram is modeled after the Farnese family castle. Coincidence. And the first stone was laid on September 11th, 1941, just a few months before the false flag that was Pearl Harbor. Excellent point, Luke. Well done. Yeah, my concern...
Wow, so, yeah. And Dustin Nemos still has General Michael Flynn listed on his page
Of course.
Be connected.
Because he almost certainly is a Fed like Flynn. He's probably one of Finn's Feds. He's probably one of Flynn's Feds, just like Gamble is. He's probably one of Finn's. And Gamble, Brian Gamble, I'll share another picture with you. The guy that, so here he is. Go ahead.
You said that you had another part 2 to the expose of Dustin Nemos.
I'll share it with you. Yeah.
Have you released that yet?
Yes. Happy to share it with you.
I posted part 1. Part 1 on my channels. So I'm going to see where I could find that part 2, and then I'll post it on my channels too.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Just I want to say, just say something about the paedophilia in the church. I saw here as well. I saw a video by a young lady called Alea Lindsay Dawn, who has been basically, she's been a teacher for years, no problems whatsoever. And as soon as she started exposing exposing paedophilia in the church, she lost her teaching job. She's been denied benefits. She's now having to live in a van. It's the whole power structure here is protects pedophiles.
Oh, you bet. And that's how they blackmail. That's how they make sure you stay on the plantation. Here's Brian Gamble, who is some sort of aide to Michael Thomas Flynn. And here's Brian Gamble at the Fedsurrection, January 6th Fedsurrection. Oh, he's all masked up. He's got a black helmet on like he's some kind of special forces clown. Okay, and here he is, dying and moving and parting his hair like he's Adolf Hitler. Do you see a trend? Of Jew baiting amongst intelligence, assets, and feds? Now, these are the people that were in Krieger's circle, and he denies them now. Oh, I was with them, but I'm not with them anymore. I was with Q, but I'm not with Q anymore. I knew the Gambles. I don't know them anymore. I liked Flynn, but I don't like him anymore. So wherever he's being called out, they run, but he doesn't run all the way. He needs to run and go back under his rock. But no, he's just retreating just enough to continue his show. And my concern is not so much that I mean, how many people are going to be stupid enough to go to some sort of a Nemos utopia and then literally drink Kool-Aid? I'm more concerned that he is some sort of counterintelligence honeypot. Something to polarize people, to misuse, to abuse Scripture as an excuse to just go all out for physical violence against ranker. So even if they have something, let's just say they're right and they go off and they start some kind of civil unrest, who's going to pay the price? Who's going to pay the bill? The Rothschilds? The Soroses? Who's going to pay the bill? No, the poor Jewish delicatessen down the road. Those are the ones who are going to get beat up and murdered and have their house burned down. And that's exactly what the machine wants. That's the vomit that is Peters and Menadio and Krieger and Greenberg and these unbelievable Jews who hate Jews are the best. This brother Nathaniel clown who's almost certainly on the CIA payroll. Jews who hate Jews. Henry, what's his name? Makow, right? Jews who hate Jews are the best. Now, clearly, if the Jews own it all, Soros, right? This clown Krieger, Nemos claims, how many people he's got? You got Rothschild and Soros, That's it. And one of the two names that he brings up as proof the Jews rule it all. Do you know anything about George Soros? No, you don't know anything about him. If you knew anything about him, you would have seen, and I can pull it up for you, and I don't want to take your time. I could pull up the 60 Minutes interview where they're asking him, what did you do during World War II? Did you have a Catholic uncle? And 60 Minutes spins it and says Christian. It wasn't Christian. Hungarian, Habsburg black nobility, Catholic. He pretended to be Catholic, and he went around and collected up the personal property of arrested Jews on behalf of the Gestapo. And he says it's the happiest time of my life. It's the happiest time of my life. And then the 60 Minutes guy goes, well, don't you have any guilt? No, somebody had to do it. It wasn't me. Somebody else would have done it. Happiest time of my life with my Catholic uncle. Oh, he was Christian, right?
Giovanni, the part 2 is titled Career Criminal Krieger, a government provocateur with a ministry.
You found
My concern is that they're already ramping up the propaganda. Israel says that they're going to be spending almost $1 billion, $780-something million to silence anybody who's saying anything.
Oh, they're doing a great job.
Dustin, Nemos,
they're great. They're doing
or anything.
Nobody can say anything about the Jews. They're doing a great job. They're shutting us all up.
My concern is that you and I are correct. I hope I'm wrong. But if they're using Dustin Nemos as a way to silence us, those who are questioning, because he's
it's
constantly
not the
talking
Jews.
about, oh,
it's the bigger that I promise you.
Chop off my head.
It's not
but
Israel.
The thing is, they're attacking free speech.
Yes.
And although I don't agree with what he says, I don't want them to use him because you hear him constantly, oh, they're coming for me. They're going to chop off my head. They're going to arrest me. He's claiming that they're trying to kill him and his kids. He's always like saying these things. All right, let's say because he's got a criminal past, I'm pretty sure he's doing something criminal now. They'll arrest him, and then they're going to use that as an excuse to go after real journalists who are actually...
They won't arrest him. They'll come right for us. They won't arrest him. He's a Fed playing a role. That's the problem. The problem is he's not sincere. It's not a free speech issue. It's an entrapment issue. He is a criminal. He's a honeypot. He is a criminal honeypot. How many times has the FBI foiled the terrorist plot that the FBI hatched in the first place? How is that not criminal? How is that not criminal? Clowns like Krieger and Minadio and Peters are feds playing a role. They're not sincere. It's not a free speech issue. It's an entrapment issue. That's the problem. That's the problem. And I'm not saying shut them down. I'm saying they're insincere. They're not legitimate journalists who said, well, I was doing some research and wow, it just came Jews, and I'm just sharing with you. No, they are provocateurs playing a role. Okay? That's the issue, I promise you. For the same reason that anybody who says that Epstein was Mossad is an idiot. Is a moron. You think that the huge power of the United States government, the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, were completely oblivious of the Mossad Epstein trap, where Epstein is actually blackmailing American politicians like Clinton, like Trump, and the CIA was oblivious and let him do it. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. They own it. They own it. The Mossad is this. The CIA is this. Okay? So anybody that puts that out there is either a shill or wildly ignorant.
So can you take us and share screen about whatever you think is most important for the audience to see with your part 2, Career Criminal Krieger, a government provocateur?
It's an hour. And here's what's of value. I will condense it for you. What's of value is, and I want to be very clear on this. You helped me with a lot of Dustin's past. I want to be clear on this. I don't like digging into somebody's past. I don't like it. It's most of the time, it's immaterial. It's ad hominem. It has nothing to do with the facts, the names, places, and dates. However, if the accusation is that Dustin Krieger, who now calls himself Dustin Nemos, is playing a scripted role and is being a provocateur on behalf of a government institution, then we do need to see, does he have a past that lends credence to the idea that perhaps he was arrested, they put pressure on him and flipped him under arrest to now play that role. That now, unfortunately for Dustin, brings his personal background into play, and we do need to examine that. And that's what I did. At length, I went through a massive criminal record. So many arrests that I had to fill it in an Excel spreadsheet to include an encoded arrest, either an infraction or an arrest, on September 27, 2004, the birthday of the Jesuits, where he was arrested for, and I'll tell you what the code is.
Yeah, that's what made me suspicious too, because I said, wow, he's totally an informant. And plus, in his own words, he admitted that he's an informant.
So,
I mean, you can't get any more than his admission.
Here's the problem, okay? Here's the problem. When you've been arrested 6, 7, 8 times, that's insane. That's insane. You've had 25 or 30 interactions with the police. That's insane. And this is the guy that's the Christian pastor? Now, if you've got a guy that's been a massage therapist and a male stripper and a bartender and all that stuff, and a drug addict, and he was arrested within 1,000...
Yeah. And a prostitute. He admitted that he was a prostitute at a gay bar, by the way.
So, yeah, I will tell you that if a man sells himself for sexual favors, it's almost always to another man, okay? It's not like, Playboy where you've got some hot cougar. No, it's usually to another man.
That's what he doth protest too much. I've seen him constantly in his church sermons, which is really weird, because to hear a pastor of a church
Here's the problem.
trying to convince you,
that's the problem.
Oh yeah, I'm not gay. I've been with so many women, and I don't know, I had quite, and he's always bragging about how many women he's been with, and he claims that he's getting paid by these women.
I'm not judging that.
Paid by hot chicks,
Vic, I'm not. Listen, I am not a hypocrite. I'm not judging him. My problem is that if a sincere Christian has a seedy past and they're dishonest about it, then there's a problem. Then there's something wrong. If Dustin were to go out and say, man, I have done it all. I have done it all. I've done drugs. I've done prostitution. I've done sexual favors for other men, and I am a new man in Jesus Christ. I don't touch that anymore. I'm not that anymore. I have a massive arrest record, and that helped me to see the light of the gospel. He has never said that. That's my problem. My problem is not his past. My problem is that his past fits the pattern of being a flipped Fed saying the crazy shit that he says because it's scripted to him as a counterintelligence honeypot operation. That's my concern, and that's the gist of that second expose.
Well, my concern is this bullshit that women pay for sex. That's goddamn ridiculous. You could be a woman and uglier than lying to your mother. You can walk down the street, just stand there and ask any guy, hey, listen, I'm horny. Can you come back to my place and satisfy me? Let's say she's uglier than lying to your mother or a shit sandwich. At least 1 in 10 guys is going to say, okay, let's go. But don't tell my friends. And, they just go and then they do their thing and that's it. Nobody's going to pay this guy. Plus, he lived in a small town, he claims. First of all, a small town gay bar is not like New York City where, yeah, sometimes like he's claiming that chicks used to go in there. That's not how it is. It's not New York. It was a small town. Gay guys would go in there. And he's saying that he prostituted himself, to gay guys. So stop
Vic,
with this nonsense that he was.
It's not. I'm not judging that. My concern. I got you. I got you.
I grew up in New York, and I've seen that, and I'm like, no, I get it, because I know where he says that he was a prostitute. It's a small town, so don't give me that crap.
My concern is that this is a past that he's been blackmailed for. This is a past that rather than outing, rather than being honest about his past, rather than putting it all on the table and saying, this is my horrible past, I'm a changed man, I turned over a new leaf, none of that comes out. We had to dig for that. We had to dig for that.
Yeah.
And the evidence is exposed.
He was exposed. Once he was exposed, and then if you see that X space that took about 9 hours, my God, he was stumbling over his lies. and the audience was catching him.
Well, who was in it? Minadio and Peters and Greenberg, all the shills, they're like hyenas. They took one expendable guy and threw him to the wolves, and they've all been there themselves. They're all likely flipped feds themselves. What a bunch of frauds and clowns. But like hyenas, they take one expendable to gain validation with their audience. Oh, no, we're the real guys. Let's take this guy and throw him to... You said cannibal. Well, Jews absolutely do eat other men, other human beings. The Jews eat the goyim. They do. So they took the guy who was saying the craziest shit and they threw him to the wolves. And meanwhile, they're all a bunch of flip feds too. Okay? None of them have real credibility. To think that Spirit, like I said when we first got started, Minadio, Peters, rappers. Are you kidding me? No, but you pull up the video of which is a Focus, Fokiss, of Peters the rapper with his mohawk and his earrings and all that. This is a guy playing a role, and now he's got more polish on Rumble. He's the 21st most watched show on Rumble. Do you think he did that of his own accord? Do you think he was suddenly inspired to say Jew, 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 and he was doing this because of his own research, or he's playing a role? Who started Rumble? Did the Jews start Rumble, or was it homosexual Peter Thiel, who was inspired by a Roman Catholic theologian, and J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, a Roman Catholic? Okay? So stop with the "it's the Jews" stupid. Not you guys, but I mean these people who keep throwing this out there without looking at the facts. Okay? Where is this centralized? Look at somebody like Candace Owens, who should be laughed at, right? And she is a Roman Catholic baby factory for her white bisexual elite British son of a lord. Okay?
Now, I've got to say this, in all fairness. There are people who are suspicious of you because the same zeal that Dustin Nemos has in naming the Jews.
Oh, he's got nothing of what I got.
You have the zealousness and the passion, and you are all about it's the Jesuits, it's the Roman Catholics, but like 99% of your conversation is it's the Jesuits, it's the Roman Catholics, and maybe
here's the difference. Hey, Vic, here's the difference. I got names, places, and dates. I got eons of history. He's got nothing. That's the point. That's why I was willing to be pulled in and fished into a debate. How about the Khazars, right? How about they're not Jews, they're fake Jews, they're Khazars. Well, where did the Khazars come from? They came from Khazaria. What was Khazaria? Did you know that the Jews of Khazaria were genocided by the Kievan Rus in 1000 AD? And they were replaced. Who were they replaced by? Who did the replacing? The Doria from Genoa. The black nobility banking family came in, and did you know that Khazaria was a colony of the Venetian black nobility? Now, if you were out there saying, oh, the Khazars, they wanted to be Jews and take over the world. So you're a bunch of Khazars, right? And you're sitting around a campfire, and here's the idea you have. Oh, let's take over the world. Let's impersonate somebody we're not. I know what we can be. We can be Jews. Let's be the most beat upon, beat down, hated ethnographic demographic ever, and we'll take over the world, and we're not even real Jews. It's absolutely absurd. It's ludicrous. And like I said, names, places, and dates. Did you know that Khazaria was a colony of Genoese, the black nobility, Genoa? No, nobody's known that. The Doria family out of Genoa. The banksters, the real banksters, again and again, whether it's the Rothschilds or Blackstone, they needed Jews to take the heat for usury. Where'd usury come from? Here's the names, places, and dates that clown Nemos doesn't have. I don't give a shit. He doesn't have passion. He has to have a fraction of the passion that I have, because I'm legit and I'm Italian and he's not. Where did usury come from? Come from Jews? No, it came from the Catholic Special Forces, the Templars. This is an acknowledged historical fact. The Templars created usury and made themselves richer than most nations because the Roman Catholic Church was promoting unbiblical pilgrimages. Oh, do you want to be a good Christian? Then you need to go to the Holy Land and pay your dues. And when you get there, you're going to be robbed, probably by Muslims, probably by thieves. And so what you do is you need to protect your valuables. You turn your valuables in to the Templars at a Templar armory, and they will give you a receipt with a cipher that only the Templars can decrypt. Then when you get done on your pilgrimage, you come out, you give another Templar armory your receipt, and they will give you back your valuables with a percentage that they keep. This was the genesis of usury. The Italian Catholic black nobility created this whole industry. They created it.
Here's a question from the live chat. How is Johnny sure that the black nobility have no Jewish blood in them?
Oh, take any stupid and throw it against the wall. How do you know? It's an unfalsifiable. Here's how I know. It's an unfalsifiable fallacy. Crypto Jew. Stop with the crypto Jew stupid. Okay? Stop with the crypto Jew stupid. Here's how I know. So in the Middle Ages, you had forced conversions of Judaism by the Inquisition. Forced conversions. They were called conversos. Now, that wasn't enough for the Catholic Church and the Inquisition. There were Jews, not massive power players. There were Jews, little Jewish families that were secretly maintaining their Judaism. Even that was too much. So the idea that the Catholic Church was just fast asleep and the black nobility is fast asleep and the Jews came in like some sort of virus and took them over is stupid. It's asinine. Do you know that the Master Inquisitor, Tomás de Torquemada, had a secret police to go in and find Marranos that were secretly maintaining their Jewish, just little families that were practicing Judaism from behind the scenes and did not fully commit to Catholicism, and he would torture them and find out who else was not really Catholic and burn them alive. So if he did that to some 13,000 men, women, and children because they weren't fully Catholic, do you really believe that there's crypto Jews running the Catholic Church and running the black nobility? And it's an unfalsifiable fallacy. How do you prove that this black nobility is a crypto Jew? You don't. It's just throwing shit against the wall. It's easy. You know how I prove it's not? By what they did. There are idiots out there saying Ignatius Loyola was a crypto Jew. Oh, really? One of the most powerful figures in all of Catholicism. The Jesuits own intelligence and counterintelligence. The Jesuits just gave superpowers to the Catholic Church. Did the Jesuits thoroughly empower Judaism? What did the Jesuits do for the Jews? Nothing. So at the bare minimum, a tree is known by its fruit. But the bottom line is this crypto Jew stupid is just throwing shit against the wall to see if it sticks. There is such a thing as a crypto Jesuit. It's in their oath. It's in the Jesuit fourth vow of extreme unction. I will go and impersonate others. I will even lower myself to impersonate a Jew. How about that for an idea? How about there are Jews out there who we hate who are really crypto Jesuits? It's in their oath. It's in their oath. When I'm across, read the fourth vow of extreme unction. When I'm across and I'm at war with someone, with an opponent, I will keep in mind they may be a Jesuit as well, and we are two brothers fighting the Hegelian pendulum for the cause of the papacy. Okay?
So some viewers are saying, Jews do no wrong in your eyes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said, right? That's exactly what I said. You're an idiot. You're a diseased Jew baiter. It's exactly what I said. If I don't say Jews, you take the pendulum and swing it to an unfair, ridiculous extreme. If I'm not out there baiting with you, here's the problem. If these people, they have to be fed and frothed up with Jew hate. And if you're not, if you're giving them names, places, and dates, then they get thrown off their game. And if they're thrown off their game, they actually have to employ their brain, and that's the problem. I said there absolutely are Jew bad players. There are bad players who are Jews. Who? Noah Harari? Who the hell's Noah Harari? He's just somebody who's out there saying stupid shit for people to hate. Is he someone that created the CIA? Is he someone that created the FBI? Is he a director of the CIA? Is he the real power? I've got a list of like 26 or 27 Roman Catholics who have run the CIA. Do you want me to go through them real quick?
Mr. Luke, is it the Jews or is it the Roman Catholics?
Oh, sorry. I actually forgot I was in the. I forgot I was in the chat in the conversation there.
Come on, man. We love you. You're the reason why we're here.
Well, this is the thing, right? Like that. Why is it allowed? That is the question. Why is everyone allowed to bait the Jews so much? Like you say, I'm not like, it's just, it's like, if it, like, we wouldn't be allowed to do it. Like, if the Jews ran everything, like, you wouldn't have a Nemos out there saying the stupid shit he does. You wouldn't have Greenberg and just all these people. You wouldn't have them.
Luke, home run. You wouldn't have Stu Peters with his own polished studio. You wouldn't have Dustin Nemos being given $1,000 donations if the Jews ran it all. He'd be gone. He'd be invisible. Right? The real reason why he can't use his real name is because he's a Fed. It's because he's playing a role. If he's playing a
and the reason a lot of the stuff, that you're saying isn't like landing with people. The reason that, I don't know, maybe there's, we don't know who's in the chat. We don't know everybody, everybody's intentions, but like the reason it's not landing with a lot of people is because they just haven't heard it before. And the reason they haven't heard it before is because it is thoroughly shadow banned. It's thoroughly censored, that you're not allowed to talk about this. You're not allowed to talk about this. Everyone can see that you're a decent researcher. You know your stuff. You go back. You're a proper journalist. You collect pictures. You've got loads of books and material to refer to. Yet you're just invisible. You're just invisible, and it's like you're just not seen. So
five 800-page, 5 books that average 600, 700, 800 pages with 1,000 citations or more, each of them. I'm not some clown sitting in his basement pulling this stuff out of my rear end. I'm not some Christian pastor saying wild, ridiculous things without any citation, without any backing, without documentation. I'm a veteran whistleblower. I'm a whistleblower. I'm not a proud veteran. I'm a military whistleblower turned investigative journalist. And still no one's heard of me and no one pays attention to me. So either I'm an idiot that doesn't know what I'm saying, or I'm giving you names, places, and dates that are causing a problem for the actual machine. You draw your own conclusion.
Okay, so here are some good questions, though, from the live chat. And I like bringing them in because they are a big part of this show. It says, so the Jews are not doing a genocide in Gaza? And also sarcastically, don't forget that Catholics have free health care and free education too. So obviously that's in reference to the fact that Jews from Israel are able to fly into the United States at U.S. taxpayer expense to get put in front of the line for any kind of transplants or anything, and also get free medical care. And also in Argentina, the Jews, even if they weren't born in Argentina or ever lived in Argentina, they get retirement paid by the Argentinians, but not the Catholics. So those are a couple of questions thrown at you.
Okay.
Is it the Roman Catholics that are committing genocide in Gaza?
Who runs South America? The Roman Catholic Church owns. And what do they want? They want to take a Jew and throw him in the spotlight. Mexico owned a corrupt narco state. Who's ruling Mexico right now? A Jew far left female. Why? Because the Jews run it all, or the machine wants you to look at this idiot woman and think she's really in charge. Okay? First of all, you're full of shit. I've never heard this idea that a Jew comes out and gets free healthcare instantly. That's just bold. I have never heard of that. And is that evidence of real power? I've never heard of that, number one. And number two, I would say, how in any way does that evidence that they're running the show? Gaza, what's going on in Gaza? Gaza is a massive false flag. Gaza, when did the Hamas incursion take place? Okay? Let me ask your chat. When did the Hamas incursion, what date did the Hamas incursion take place?
October 7th.
October 7th. That's the birthday of the Jews, right? That's very, very special date to the Jews, isn't it?
I think so.
No, it isn't. It has nothing to do with Judaism. It is the anniversary of the Templar victory over the Muslim Ottomans at Lepanto that was also shared with our worship of Mary, the Queen of Victory. Look it up. Now, why would Hamas do their incursion? Why would Israel create a false flag to honor the Templar victory over Ottomans? Did you know that that's the same day that initiated the American War on Terror? Why would they do that? Why would secular separation of church and state America start its never-ending global war on terror to honor the Templar victory over the Ottomans, which is also the feast of Our Lady of Victory? Oh, it must be the Jews. It must be the Jews. Now, I don't doubt that Gaza is an absolute mess. Listen to me. Here's the other thing. So fuck you in the chat, okay? Here's the other thing. This is an absolute agenda. The people that you thought, oh, free Palestine, right? Max Egan, you fucking fraud. Free Palestine. The people that you relied on, Arafat was a homosexual, corrupt criminal. His job was to fuck the good Palestinians, was to keep them down, keep them unhappy, keep them enslaved, keep them miserable. So when it was time for the machine to let them go, then they would be a wild card of violence. It's exactly what's going on. Okay, it's exactly what's going on.
I'm surprised that Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro haven't invited you on their show. How is this not? How are you not on Mark Levin?
I have zero support from anybody Jewish. I have zero support, and that should tell you something too.
Yeah, what's going on there,
I have zero support because ultimately...
The reason I have you on my show is because I'm a Jew. I'm a quadruple CIA
CIA Jew pedophile. I guess we all are, right? We all are.
Have you seen Dustin Nemos did a report, which is interesting because this is how bullshit SGT report is. I don't know if you've heard of SGT report.
Turnbull. Yeah, Turnbull. There's another guy who's an absolute fed. There's another guy who's a fed.
Yeah, so Dustin Nemos, he puts a yellow line from one eye to the other, and he claims that yellow line proves that I'm a Jew.
Can that compare? Can that brilliant science compare with something stupid like names, places, and dates, or an actual historical citation? No. Yellow lines.
That's what he posts on SGT report. He puts on the phaser, stun him with truth. And there's a photo of me with the yellow line from Dustin Nemos.
The mere fact that Turnbull would bring that fraud on his show proves that he's a fed. Proves that he's a fed.
It's unbelievable. And then he gets pissed at me because I
look at how polished Turnbull is. Look at how polished Turnbull is. They actually gave him, I think the Washington Post did a write-up on him. He's living in his brand new, beautiful log cabin there up in Washington State or something. Right? So when the mainstream media gives focus to these individuals, you know that the machine is giving them a thumbs up.
Totally, man. That's the whole thing. I know if anything that I've accomplished with this show, which like Luke pointed out, is impossible to find. So I don't know how anybody's even in this live chat. How you guys got here, I don't know. But we are surrounded by feds. And controlled opposition and
it's their job.
Pro, whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
Vic, it's totally intuitive. If the machine of tyranny owns it all, they've got nothing else to do with trillions of your tax dollars than to find you. You are the biggest threat. That's one of the things that soured me the most about the military, is the realization that the United States government is the real threat. It's not some jihadi out in the woods. The government is the biggest threat to the American people. They're the ones, when I swore an oath to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, I was swearing it against the United States, not for the United States, certainly the government. So this is they've got nothing better to do than to create the Stu Peters, the Dustin Nemoses, the Minadios, the Greenbergs, all of these shows. They are creations with your tax money, with nothing better to do. That's why you're in a massive surveillance state. Oh, 9/11, right? 9/11. It must be the Jews. The Jews were dancing on 9/11, right? You have that stupid meme, or you've got a fact. What happened after 9/11? We had the Patriot Act, the inversely named Patriot Act, to usher in the surveillance state. Where did it come from? Did it come from the Jews? Did it come from Shiva University in Tel Aviv? No, it came from a Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic Jesuit law professor named Viet D. Din out of Georgetown. He wrote the Patriot Act. It was in hand on 9/11, and he said, here you go, pass this. Oh, it must be the Jews. Okay, so my passion is set aside. The fact is, I just gave you facts, names, places, and dates, whether it's passionate or not. That clown, Nemos, has yellow lines across eyes, so fuck him and fuck you.
So, Mr. Luke, before we close this up, yes, I want to bring you back into the show. Make sure you're not asleep there. What's your takeaway from not only being involved in this, which was not your intention when you put Giovanni and I together, but now you're here and you're on the world stage. There's people from all over the world watching this and listening to you. What's your message to them?
Message: just keep looking for the truth. Keep fair. Keep just don't and oh God, sorry, this is too much pressure.
No, you're fine, Luke. You're fine.
Just
so grateful.
Just keep the faith. Keep the faith. Yeah, be grateful.
Keep the faith
every day.
Well, what he means, what he's talking about is faith to truth. He's talking about faith to truth. From me, as a Christian perspective, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, John 14:6. But truth will guide you. Another way to say what Luke is saying is trust nobody. And here's the big problem. We don't have time for this. We'll get this into another time. You mentioned the medical industry. The medical industry's job is to kill you. The medical industry's job is to sicken you, rob you, and kill you. And they have been flipped they're gods, they're demigods, they're warped. They have a white lab coat on, they have a stethoscope around their necks. They can never lie, they can never cheat, they can never want to harm you, they can never have an ulterior motive. It's totally a psychological operation. You have to be your own everything, and you can't. You have to be your own astronomer. You have to be your own journalist. You have to be your own physician. You can't trust anyone or anything. Now, for me personally, when I get overwhelmed like that, I reach out to Almighty God. I reach out to Jesus Christ. I say, you got to send me somebody that I can trust. A tree is known by its fruit. A tree is known by its fruit. There's little voices in the back of your mind going to say, that guy sounds dodgy. Let me look that up. I don't have time to look up everything, but that idea that all Jews are Nephilim, what? Let me spend a minute and look that up. So you do as much as you can. You cannot trust anyone. You cannot trust science. Science is a joke. Science is actually pseudoscience. It's not observable, testable, repeatable. You cannot trust medicine. You cannot trust the government. You cannot trust journalism. But the problem is you can't do it all yourself. You're going to be overwhelmed. So you need to find sources that you can trust. And for me personally, as a Christian, I rely on Jesus Christ to feed me. And I also believe that it's Christ behind Luke. What, Vic, really? You took a fan and you listened to a fan, one of thousands of fans, and look at the fruit that has come of it. You were absolutely spot on to trust Luke and his judgment. And I had a great conversation with Luke.
It's the fans that make this show. Amen. And I don't even consider them fans because we're all in this together. This is really our show. I've learned so much from the people in the audience. They email me information. They contact guests that they want to have on. I always tell the audience, if you want somebody on this show, feel free to share my email address, vhviipress@msn.com. If they have something to share that's worthwhile, they're welcome on the show. Speaking of which, Giovanni will be back on this show next week on Wednesday, and he will be with Jim Rizzoli. So it's going to be Giovanni with Jimmy Rizzoli. And that will be on the 20th of May, Wednesday, and that'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
That's almost all Jimmy Rizzoli's doing. That's almost all. So at one point, I was on with the fakeologist in the same circumstance with Nemos, debating Jim. And it really never got contentious. I was still Italian. I have to be Italian. But at no point was it a personal beat Jim. And Jim has been a real sweetheart over time, saying, okay, I don't agree with everything you say, but I do say that you've got some valid points and that people should hear you out. And because of Jim and because of Vic, I'm thrilled to sit down with Jim and Victor again. And it's clear that Victor doesn't agree with me on everything, but we're friendly and we're sincere. We're not feds. We're not reading from a script. We sincerely believe what we believe, even if it's at odds with somebody else. That's the difference. That's why I'm not going to be triggered. I'll still be Italian, but I'm not going to be triggered. And that I'm thrilled. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, just so you know, it's just because we don't agree on everything doesn't mean that I don't actually then go and research and find out for myself.
I hope you do.
What guests that come on this show, because the thing is, I've learned a lot and I've changed my mind. That's why I'm an open-minded,
because you're a real person.
Thinker,
because you're a real person.
People in the audience. Because I know that's why I started this whole show, was because I'm on a journey, a personal journey, to learn the truth, because I've realized, wow, I've been fed lies all my life.
Amen.
And with every person, and I don't take people for granted, because like Luke, he's like, oh, I'm nervous, but I've learned from Luke what it's like to live in England right now, because I'm not there.
Right.
So everybody has their information that they share, and I'm surprised how many people say that they're just nobody. Well, Dustin Nemos says that, but he doesn't mean it. He's got an ego. That's huge.
Right. And he has the balls to say I'm nobody. I swear he got that from me, because I found that humble, I found that powerful. And he says I'm nobody, and then he tweets out, I am the Dustin Nemos. And that kind of megalomania, that kind of fixation on himself is actually a tell that he's covering for deception. That's actually
totally.
a tell that he's covering for deception. That he feels convicted that he's living a lie. And as a result, he blows his ego up way out of proportion.
Yeah, the guy's a menace to society. And Monday, I have Thomas Alpha Omega Energy on. That'll be at 9 a.m. And then I have a special guest, Laura Van Tyne, who will be on at noon Eastern Daylight Time. And I'll probably be doing some solo shows next week. So, yeah, people enjoy the solo shows. I play clips and just go crazy for a couple of hours with the audience. We just have fun together. So thank you so much again, Mr. Luke, for making this happen. Thank you, Giovanni, for being a good sport and daring to come on this show. I don't know what you heard about me before coming on this show.
I heard that you defected to the CCP. I heard that you defected to the CCP.
Yeah, and that I'm gay too.
Now, honestly, so let me give you this a little bit here. So you do have freedom of movement in China, correct?
Yeah, I had a blast. I didn't want to leave. I was staying at 5-star hotels, hanging out with billionaires.
Any government favors? Look, you're a relatively big name. Any government favors? Did you have to do anything for the Chinese government as a result of the privileges of freedom of movement?
No, man. I was surprised. I wanted to stay. I have a visa to live there until 2029. The only reason I left was because I received a letter from the State Department telling me that I had 48 hours to escape. Otherwise, I'd be held as a political prisoner or die. And quite frankly, I didn't like either of those two options. So I got out, and the only place that was open was Istanbul, Turkey. And I'd seen that movie Midnight Express, that scene where Brad Davis had to suck his wife or girlfriend's titties through a glass. And I was like, man, that doesn't sound cool to me. So I made it to the Republic of Georgia. Then they closed the borders, and I've been stuck here ever since. Because I'm not going back to the United States if I have to say that two men can get pregnant. That's nonsense.
Here's what gives credence to your explanation that you sincerely just said out of your heart versus reading a script. I don't know a lot of your material, but I have never heard you shill for the CCP, as opposed to somebody like Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan, so much of his material, it's obvious that he is an instrument of goodwill on behalf of the Chinese Communist government. A guy like John Cena, Roman Catholic John Cena.
Oh, totally. He's such a shill.
Backwards
Total
for
shill.
China, for the Communist Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So those are the tells that I look for whether or not someone is shilling for a tyranny. I haven't seen that, so I absolutely take you at face value, pal. Appreciate you.
But I will say this, though, in defense of the Russians and the Chinese and the people in the Middle East, holy cow, having been, I don't want to say forced, because it was my choice. I could have stayed in China, but I chose to leave. And now I'm here, and it was my choice to leave, but they wanted me to take the bioweapon disguised as vaccine and that stupid PCR test, and I knew that that stuff was poison, so I said, no, I'm not doing it. And that's when I realized the U.S. government was trying to kill me, too, because I was like, really? You guys know what this is. I was in China. They told me what it was. They wanted me to be part of that thing. So that's when I went to the embassy, and I was like, man, you guys are dirty as anything. So anyway,
all of them, they're all in it together, Vic. They're all in it together. That's the point. They're all in it together. Listen, if China were unlivable, there'd be civil war. It's livable, but what you have is because you have a totalitarian regime, you can have the psyops, the false flags, and the massive tyranny grabs like the corona hoax. They're much, much worse in China than they are elsewhere. They can take people and beat their dogs to death and use the corona hoax as an excuse. Just demonic. They can take people and shove them in little boxes and say, we have to because of the corona hoax. You can get away with that in China where you can't necessarily get away with that in the U.S. yet. You can get away with that in Australia. Howard Springs. Did you know there was a corona hoax concentration camp in Australia at Howard Springs? Oh, yeah. So you see the degrees. They're all in it together. They're all in it together. And this is just a trial run. And we have to keep awake. We have to keep our head on a swivel. And we cannot be taken in by shills who are insincere, who are trying to deceive us for the purpose of distraction from our truth seeking. That's the real danger of the Nemoses and the Peterses and the Minadios and the Greenbergs. That's their real danger, is that they're playing a role. They are insincere. They're not out there doing honest research and saying, wow, I'm seeing this guy's Jewish and this guy's Israeli. No, they are just throwing shit against a wall to froth you up and distract you, as opposed to real investigative journalism, names, places, and dates that you get from me. Much love. Vic, you're the best. Appreciate you. I'm thrilled to see Wednesday. Luke, you've got me. You've got my contact information. Thrilled to connect with you again. Have a private chat, public chat, whatever you want. Love you guys both.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everybody. Thank you for everybody who shares in compassionate wealth by visiting the VictorHugoCollection.com. The reason I'm not a shill is because I'm sponsored by the audience, and the audience are real people. I don't get like $1,000, $3,000, $2,000, $5,000 donations you'll find on Dustin Nemos's page, which is incredible. It's public record. You can go there and see for yourself. No, you can see the donations I get on Give, Send, Go. And they're $5, they're $10, they're $50. And thanks to everybody who donates through ZellyPay or through PayPal. Thank you. You are real people. You are the ones who financed this show. If you want to find the information for Giovanni and how you can get his books, go to johnnycirucci.com. His books are available on amazon.com. You can find his channel on rumble.com, Resistance Rising, and he's on twitter.com. All the information is in the description section. So yes, check it out, inform yourself. Remember, everybody, united we stand, divided we fall. Never give up. Never surrender. Keep shining. Live, love, flow.